everybody. Good afternoon. As we're ready to go with another COD Mobile Rivalry series. I hold Chip with me. I've got Verdict. A little funny start for us behind the scenes today, but we're good. We're ready to go. We're all cleaned up. We're looking fresh. I don't know about you, Verdict. Did you get a new haircut? I got a haircut. I feel like we're looking kind of fresh today. Maybe that's just my
maybe we're just feeling ourselves. We got a lot going on. We got some COD Mobile ahead of us. The new haircut's fresh. Just everything about this month is just a great vibe. So I'm here for all the action. Of course, we're here for another COD Mobile Rivalry series. And Shift, I gotta say, I don't think today could be any better. We're gonna have some great competition in a BR format that I'm super excited to get into the action with.
You know what they say, one is often the loneliest number, but today it's all about trying to be that one guy that stands out amongst the rest, the Lone Survival Battle Royale series, like you totally mentioned. We've got all the details for you as far as what we're looking at format-wise, what we're looking at pricing-wise, and of course, all the lists of players that we have in front of us for today. But as you already mentioned, it's Battle Royale, and it's not just one map or the other, Verdict. We're actually going back and forth between both of them. So it's solo Battle Royale, 70 total players, and we're playing 4 drops. And the prizing's a bit interesting because it's not just based on how you finish, it's also based on how you get your most overall kills, because we're going to reward both of those today throughout all 4 drops.
No, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, it's kind of giving me those solo dolo vibes. Maybe not as high of a prize pool, but at the end of the day, you also get, kill prizes as well. So whatever you can get off the board on that, it's interesting to see what kind of strategies will come through. Breakdown of the prize pool, it's $10,000 in total. Every match you win, that's right, you got to be the lone survivor standing, $2,000 up for grabs. On top of that is overall kill leader will receive $2,000. And I got to ask you, if you're participating in this event, Chip, what route would you take? Would you take the aggressive kill leader approach? Would you take the passive? Maybe I can sit back and earn, a couple of passive income dollars. I mean, I don't know. I think these players know what they want to do, but I'm interested to pick your brain.
The whole thing, there is a constant level of risk and reward that always comes down to when you play solo Battle Royale. Because, the early game, maybe you're better than the people that happen to land around you. You can soak up some quote-unquote free kills. However, the rule number 1 of Battle Royale, in my mind, is there's always another player. So you have to be worried about third and fourth party situations, and who knows, maybe the best players out there just get overwhelmed and don't have a chance to win. So I think there is a little bit of this kind of decision-making that's going to have to come down to this dictating. Do you want to play for kills and possibly be your overall kill participant leader while also maybe stealing away a win? Or do you want to play things a little bit safer? Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things, and we'll get a pretty good look at it as we jump into, or at least our first drop. But we need to, of course, to learn more about all of our players, everything else that's coming through, because we already mentioned 70 total players were part of this whole event throughout all 4 of our drops today. And there are some major favorites that are out there without question.
I have to definitely take a look at it. I've seen a couple names pop up. I need to see the list again. It is going to be an exciting one. I know I saw a ton of them. There we go. Bam. It's like magic. You ask and you shall receive. A lot of names in here across the span of 3. You're going to play passive. Maybe that is something that you consider when you jump into it. Some of the names that stick out to me whenever I look at this list, off the rip, it's Citrus. You've got Lag from Latham. You've got Raider, who is the skin master. There's just so many great names out there. Tatio from Latham, who is a professional MP player. Tectonic. I mean, I call him Tectonic, but he's really the GOAT tonic. Man's is just built differently, and he is a real gamer. So, off the top, I mean, what players are you familiar with, and which ones are you expected to pop off, Shift?
The funny thing about it is, I'm thinking back to when we did the Regional Royale and stuff like that in the past. And, I think everyone who's out there that follows the COD Mobile scene religiously, they're going to go to a lot of the names that you mentioned because of their prevalence in the multiplayer and playing throughout their regional competitions. But I'm actually excited to see how our more focused content creators are going to do. Because if you remember back to when we did our Rivalry series for Zombies not too long ago, it was our content creators that had the best idea as far as how to play through the formats that were presented. So I'm looking at player to see, like, what is Starbeast going to do? Because he's been posting a bunch on Twitter about this event, and I know he's excited to see what he's able to do as an individual. Maybe his gun skill doesn't necessarily match up to people like Goat Tonic and Little B and Vague and all these competitive players, but hey, we're not playing firing range 5v5, man. We're going out to Isolated with a 70-man winner takes all. So I don't know. I think there's going to be something said for our content creators out there today.
Well, that's a great note that you just mentioned as well. I mean, we're not going to be heading to firing range in the first 2 maps, but we will be heading to firing range in the next 2. That is so right. We're going to be heading over to Blackout for the last 2 maps, and it's going to be the survival of the fittest. Who's going to be the last man standing? What route are you going to take? If you're really, really aggressive, you know, it's a give and take system. You mentioned it. You afford yourself the opportunity to get those kills, but you also miss out on what could be an easy $2,000 if you sit back and just wait and, you know, anticipate what everybody else is going to do. I'm interested to see where drops go here in these first few maps. Yeah. Obviously, we still got a long day ahead of us. I don't really know what to expect. I came in here thinking I was prepared, and I saw the list of names, and I was just like, oh, there's so much talent here. This is too much all in one lobby.
You could put the list up on a wall and throw a dart, and that might be your winner. I mean, really, there are 70 great players, and that's for sure. I will say, kind of, you know, looking at, you know, a solo side of things when it comes to Battle Royale, though, one of the things that we have not seen in this format is the simple fact that these players are going to need to evaluate what they have after they've dropped, and does that mean that they can fight? You know, being able to understand where your power spikes are. If you find great weapons off the drop, if you find great utility off the drop, that might put you in a spot to go fight, get a little bit more aggressive early, and take advantage of people who may not have that same kind of loot around you. Where on the other foot, you happen to land someplace over towards like Pier or Nuketown on this first isolated drop, you might be stuck there if you don't feel good about how your loot is. So I'm curious, I think, to see with Isolated being a little bit smaller of a map, how is the circle going to kind of make players move, and what decisions will they make when they're forced to give up the positions they dropped in, whether they have great loot or maybe they don't, and they have to kind of play the survival game a little bit longer. I mean, hey, domination is one way to play the game, but the name of the event is Lone Survivor, and being able to survive is obviously the biggest key towards getting that $2,000 per drop.
Yeah, and something just to add to that, we were taking a look at some of the banned items and whatnot. One of the things that I saw, classes, those are going to be huge, especially in the early game. What route are you going to go? Are you going to go for a little bit more of a passive approach? And I think this is going to be very related to how you're going to play the game in the long run and what approach you're going to take. Right. Obviously, there are several ton of operators that you can choose from. I'd be interested to see what we see, you know, here in this first game, and if anybody adapts moving forward.
100%. And it is going to be a learning process, I think, for these first 2 maps, which is never great to hear if you find yourself down early, because then you only have 2 more drops to play for, and that could put you out of the realm of possibility from even coming close to that overall kill leader, which, again, as we go through, we will be able to give you guys updates as where the total kills are, pretty much after the second lobby drop. We'll kind of have a better look at who's where and who might be in the running for it, who may just have to play for just the $2,000 for winning it all. I mean, like you mentioned, you go back to those solo YOLO drops from, you know, the World Series of Warzone, $100,000. Some of the players that were in those final circles came in with 0 kills, and they were just playing for the win. So that is a viable strategy, and we're not going to rule it out because, hey, out of the $10,000, $8,000 of it is reserved for whoever wins. So technically speaking, if you think about it in a certain twisted way, all you need are 4 kills, and you can get $8,000. It just takes getting the last one.
You're absolutely right. And if you're in that last zone, it kind of, you know, brings me back to that solo dolo vibe where you've got this riot shoulders, you got people who are trying to be sneaky as all get out. Hey, those strategies panned out in Warzone. Here in COD Mobile, the only option that would fit that play style is the defender. And I'll say for a few reasons. It gives you a little bit of cover, but more importantly, it also provides you a pocket flash without any kind of necessary throwing of a tactical per se. So again, classes are going to be a major factor on who is going to be looking for that end game, or it could be an aggressive approach and you're looking for those kills early on. Again, it's a give and take system. What route you're going to pick? You know, at this point, we're just waiting for everyone to get into the lobby, but I'm already antsy. I'm super excited to get into this first drop. It's going to be a banger. I would love to see a few defenders. I would love to see a few ninjas. The classes are wild. The only one that I don't see that's available, and I had to recheck it, is Pumped. So we won't see Pumped in the mix, and the tank as far as vehicles go. So I don't know if we went over that just yet. So everything is like wide open as far as selection for strategy.
And the interesting thing, going back to that regional royale, the last time that we saw kind of a major content creator and some pro players kind of combining to make squads of 4 was we saw a lot of speed classes being put in the mix. Mobility was what was winning. I don't believe we're going to get that same identity in this because it is solos. I think you're great to bring up the defender point. I think the more stationary, the more survivable you can be, the better off you're probably going to find yourself in the individual circles, especially as we get later and later into the game. But I've been proved wrong many times before when it comes to at least how I would approach it versus what our players are, because there are some people out there, when we were watching the original Royale, they were essentially playing 1v4s. They were just flying into teams and destroying them. So maybe that is part of the strategy to where you can just jump into the action, find the kills quickly, and then you've given yourself a loot boost while also, of course, putting yourself on top of the leaderboard for potentially that overall kill participation. So, man, I don't know. I have a feeling that my intuition is going to be proved wrong once again, and there's going to be a handful of players that are just running and gunning and flying at people, and they're going to end up winning some of these lobbies and possibly being our overall kill leader by the end. But me personally, I'm taking as stationary as possible. I want defenders, I want healing, I want sustainability. Get me as far away from the action as possible until it matters. That's my mentality on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. But then again, I've had like fights with myself, and then with other co-casters as well who agree with me on this, what it's like. My strats may not necessarily peak in line with what a lot of these pro players believe in, but some of these content creators might be in that same kind of thought process. Sometimes I just gotta step back and let them do their thing. These guys are pros for a reason in that instance, and they played the game a lot longer than I have. They're just so much better and so talented. That's why I'm excited to see who's going to be able to stand out on top as far as kills go. And I'm interested to see if we see more than one, or if we get back-to-back winners, or more than one win for one player alone. I mean, that's a hefty ask, but it would be very impressive. But I know the play styles are going to differ from Isolated to Blackout. Some people like Isolated, some people don't like it, some people like Blackout. That's why we're doing 2 for 2. So it's going to be an interesting drop. We're waiting for the players still to come through. It's going to be a massive first game, and really just a pace setter to what our expectations are for this entire COD Mobile lone survival rivalry series.
100%. We've got EU representation, North America representation, LATAM representation, and we're just about ready to go for lobby number 1 of 4. We hear you out there. We all want gameplay. We're 2 spectators in this as well. We also want the gameplay just to see what's going to unfold on top of our screens and who's going to maybe come out on top as a early favorite. It's so hard to use the word favorite because it's solo battle royale, man. I'm telling you, you could be the best player in the game, and all of a sudden you walk into a group of 6 different players that are all holding buildings, and you get overwhelmed and dominated. That happens. It happens to the best of us. So we'll see exactly how things go. I'm just excited to see Isolated and Blackout go back and forth, because I was always a big Blackout stan back when the game came through with Call of Duty 4, or BO4 rather. Loved it, played the heck out of it. Excited about the map reviving, and then also on top of that, obviously Isolated also brings back all those nostalgic locations from CODs of old. So I'm curious, I think, like you mentioned, to see what those drop locations are going to be, and if they're going to be routine. That's the other part about it. Like, hey, I dropped into firing range when we put our first instance of Blackout. I got absolutely, stomped on. Do I go back there? Kind of getting a feel for the land is not going to be available for these players because we're going back and forth, and there's only 4 total drops.
You're absolutely right. players who do it the best, they get their scouting intel. They check the stream afterwards. They're kind of like, okay, so this is where a lot of people drop. Maybe I'll go. But guess what? There's a lobby full of players who are doing this analysis as well. So I'd be interested to see who adapts or who sticks to what works, or if even it doesn't work. So I've always been the one, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. If I drop firing range and I die instantly, I'm going to drop back firing range. But then again, I'm also a bot. So I mean, I'm just asking to die on that hill.
You're just a big griefer is all you are. I see you, Verdict. I see you. But I hear you guys. We're ready to go. Lobby is starting up, and here we drop in for lobby number 1. Again, taking a look at Isolation first and foremost. Before we jump into Blackout, we'll go back and forth between the two. We'll do our best to try to find you the hottest options as far as who's starting off early. But of course, with 70 players, this is one of those things that will kind of take the action as it comes. Taking a look at the early drop locations, a little bit of a battle for countdown, a little bit of a battle for practice range. and a couple of players that are going to be mostly holding on and maybe try to go up towards the wintry sides of Overgrown and Ski Town.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a plethora of players going to Sakura. That might be a big area of interest. Also, we've got a lot of players spread out through practice range. They are all over the place. 70 players in the lobby trying to find where the best place to get loot, but not only that, not to be seen. So a great flight pattern to start off this game, number one, too. So starting south, going north, where you can see those wintry hills are definitely going to be very overgrown. I mean, overgrown with a lot of players, too, in that similar area. Dormitory? Good night. How many? There's got to be at least 8 teams there.
Yeah, it feels that way. A couple of players have opted to get into early helicopters. You see them kind of flying around quite literally, so we'll see what that has to do. As we look at the kill feed, Bolo's able to find what looks to be the first kill. So good for him to kind of start things off, but Diana's in a little bit of trouble here. A couple of players nearby, and again, based on how they came out of the plane, it looks like they should be at least somewhat familiar to the fact that this is not a free loot, and you have to be very careful as you go from building to building here.
No, you're absolutely right. Deanna in a little bit of a pickle. Got to go ahead and head for the hills. Get what you can, get out. Don't get seen. No harm, no foul. Super right around the corner, so maybe we get a little bit of EU on EU violence. Wicked Sun's lurking around the corner there, but we're going to take the action over to where Vague and Lotex, arguably one of the better players in multiplayer, Tribe Vague, one of the biggest and upcoming talents. We got Lotex, who has been tried and true as one of the best BR pros. This is a very interesting black market affair. I'm wondering what's going to happen. There goes the push. Agaboo, or a.k.a. Aerith, is going to be able to take down Nader in the background, but this one's interesting. Vague, baby, should have challenged that one. That's tough.
Yeah,
Woo,
Vague just being on the bad side of every Star Wars fanatics meme where you have the low ground, what do? You're kind of stuck against Lotex, and you see exactly why. Really well done. A lot of high-tier loot now going the way of Lotex, and this is all free. I mean, there's nobody else anywhere nearby. So Lotex is going to be in one of those positions that we were talking about early on, where it's, hey, you've got a huge power spike right now. Maybe you can try to take this moment in towards trying to get a couple of extra kills and trying to get aggressive. And how about it from one pro to the next? Lotex has got space nearby. Hard to say if he knows for sure that space is in the vicinity, but that could be another interesting battle with Lotex holding the high ground as we jump over and see that there is a little bit of a movement happening across the bridges. And yeah, Lotex in the kill feed is able to take down Space. Hard to say exactly how that fight happened, but I would have to imagine that Space had no idea he was being hunted.
Well, I can tell you, Lotex had every idea. Before he took that airlift off into the sky, he knew exactly where he wanted to go. He checked that map that was digitally on the screen. Right before you enter that room, you can see player locations to almost an exact pinpoint. Obviously, you get in the air, you get a little bit of a visual. It's an easy kill for him. So ATV is looking beautiful here. I'm taking a look at the classes. We got Ninja. This is a stealth play. And obviously, you got aggressive guns here for Inara. Looking to see if it pays off. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is not necessarily a great position to be in. Let's see how quickly they can get out of dodge. There it goes. Go ahead and opt for the motorcycle. Love it. It's a little quicker. Get your chip upgrade. Hit the hills. Don't look back.
Class upgrade, very important, though. Again, that's another element that we could be looking towards when it comes to power spikes as we get deeper and deeper into this lobby. Still 53 total players remaining, though, so a lot of Battle Royale to come through. But, well, you got maybe a little bit of action here just outside where the helicopter may have landed. It looks like there's some information, at least on one side of the puzzle, that there could be an engagement here. Good weapons, and, yeah, the helicopter will just be taken and then gone away, and it looks like there will be no action, at least for now.
Yeah, I think this is the best play for Jose. I'm going to be honest with you. You do not want to go toe-to-toe with Serperuski. He has won numerous amount of BR tournaments. If you are familiar with him, you know exactly what kind of aggression he wants. He is circling around like a hawk in the sky, just waiting to pounce down. As that action ensues, we've got a little bit more, as it does look like we've rotated over. We got B-Nates in the vicinity. We got Splash YT. This one might be one of those instances where you're talking about what kind of strategy you're going to play. In the buildings is where we're going to find at least 80% of the players. The true, tried and proven pros, they're going to be on the hunt almost entire game. Lotex is a prime example of that. So this one probably not going to develop into much, but what is Lotex. He is still on the hunt, and man is not stoppable at the moment.
Dude, this guy is just going from major player to major player with no regard at all for who he's shooting up against. Also important to note, we kind of saw it after the drop was coming through. The first circle is mostly centered around launch base. So there's also something to be told about, okay, now that you know, especially for those players that we saw kind of up towards the top side of the map, over towards dormitories, and even over towards Sakura, you need to rotate. Do you opt to try to do that sooner rather than later, or do you want to try to maybe ride the edge all the way through into this final circle, potentially in the dead middle of this map? So there's a lot of questions there as far as maybe some of the opening strategies. We kind of saw during Regional Royale that a lot of the teams that won the lobbies that we saw were teams that rotated early and got into great positions first. Obviously, different situation playing in solos as compared to quads, but that is something to kind of keep in the back of our minds as Lotex now has an idea that Star Beast is nearby. Hard to say if Star Beast is aware of that, and well, now he will be. It comes at a bit of punish towards his armor, but he'll be all right to stay alive for now.
Yeah, he will be for now is the key point. I'm opting to see players play a little bit outside of this first zone. It's not going to give you a lot of damage. It's not going to give you a lot of a threat. Vehicle is going to be taken right here, but I'm interested to see Lotex. He's just going to reposition to get ahead and maybe try and get this kill. He's aggressive. He's not going to be denied. And this guy has been a multiplayer pro Reaper so far. Can he get the content creator down at Starbeast? I know he was talking a lot on Twitter, man. I hope he can back it up. Lotex is certainly one you don't want to be in the ring with, and Lotex is actually going to be able to get back in that helicopter. He's not playing games. He doesn't want to waste any time. He wants to find more action, and I very much so appreciate that. King Ref in the background is going to be able to take down Tarzan, and that is going to be some more kills coming through. Looking at it, we got 51 players. This is a lot for this first zone being taken down. Is not quite 70 in that first lobby, but 65, still pretty healthy.
Oh, our buddy Hilmania falls to Lotex just as we swap out. He was kind of stuck just on the backside of the circle, trying to run in with it. Rest in pieces, my friend. Rest in pieces. Report also getting in the mix. A little bit of Star Beast having a little bit of fun with vehicles here. For a moment, is going to have to evade at least a couple of different players. Mysterio is not going to opt for the gunfight. So Star Beast once again kind of gets away just narrowly. Circle's not going to really hurt too hard as well. You got to be sure most are familiar with that until we start to get really towards circle number 3. So Star Beast will be fine to kind of survive through this. But the longer you wait to rotate, the more dangerous the circle seems to be getting for him, because it looks like it's pushing further and further away from where he's at the moment.
No, you're absolutely right. We're going to take it over the Falsa, who's got plenty of action in between. Taking a look at, we've had plenty of players getting dropped almost instantly upon that zone crashing in. Super trying to make the rotation through. Falsa just trying to snake it through the grass. And I'm going to be honest with you, that with that skin, it's going to get you by for now. So we'll see if anything is progressing on the backside. There's some shots coming through for Starbeast. Man, it's like from one demon to another. Pick your poison at this point. Man is getting grief left and right. You got Vivant right behind you as well. Oof. I don't know if Starbeast is going to make it out. I'd be very surprised to see him get to the zone successfully here with 57 HP. He'll be all right as long as he doesn't take any more shots.
Yeah, that's the big key, is rotating safely on foot while everyone else is riding right by you. But interestingly enough, and maybe part of the kind of answer to our questions early is, hey, these players that are in vehicles are just trying to get into the zone. They're not bothering taking these gunfights. Not worth the risk in any regard. 30 seconds until another safe zone shrinkage comes through. Falsa, again, just kind of watching players drive by. Sun nearby. Empathy was the first one to kind of pass through, but Falsa not even bothering taking shots as he's looking to kind of get some position in foot. But, the thing that's really curious when we saw, especially from, trying to compare the solo YOLO drops in the World Series of Warzone, is get yourself a vehicle, keep that vehicle healthy, and just keep driving around until you absolutely get to that final circle. That could be part of the strategy here for some of these players.
Yeah, it is. It's not for Nagdi, though. He is on foot. He's on the prowl. He doesn't have a kill to his name, but there's Raider in the vicinity. He is the skin master. Shit, let me tell you, I don't know anybody who has a more complete account than this gentleman right here. He is a legend and a known, just absolute beast in the COD community. Right now, it's a beast in Nagdi, who is a pro player from the EU scene. And Raider, if I was you, bro, I would just continue to lay down flat, because this is not the interaction you want to take. And I know he doesn't know there's somebody on the other side of that wall, but
perfect.
Surely enough, we'll see this zone crashing, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. Bus station is going to be in dead center, as well as launch base, so kind of cutting in between. And here comes some airdrops. I don't expect too many people to, kind of gravitate towards that, but I would expect people lurking in that vicinity, try and get some free kills. Talking about free kills, a little Cygnus on 11 violence. It is Tatio taking down Super. And if that Latham rivalry wasn't enough and bitter already, I'm sure that was just going to add fuel to the fire.
And, the interesting thing with the dead center of this upcoming circle being kind of in between 3 different points of interest, how long are these POIs going to be used? Oh my goodness, Lotex just destroyed Raider. Are you kidding me? Wow.
He's not the self-proclaimed best of the game. He is like the community vote. Everyone is in the same page in regard to his performances. Man has put up serious numbers in a ton of events and has been one of the more consistent. I've talked to Achman, who is one of his fellow teammates, or was one of his former teammates. I don't know if they still play together, but he's always mentioned Lotex being one of the best, and as everyone has always talked about how great Achman has been. But Lotex is just, I don't know, he's operating on demon time, and everybody in the lobby should be fearful because this man is on a rampage, and there is nothing that can stop him so far. I think he's sitting on 4. And he has killed multiplayer pros. He's killed content creators. He doesn't care. He is not being choosy. The shots coming here for Jose. Cerberusi's going to be spotted. Oh, baby! Jose! Wait. I didn't know you had it like that.
That was a simultaneous sniper shot coming out. Jose hit him, and so did the other player who actually got credited for the kill by the look of it. That wasn't Jose in the kill feed. He just got one stolen from him.
Oh, boy. We're down bad.
Oh, dude, game of chicken.
Oh, man. Hello.
Dude. I don't know if we can get a replay of that, but if we can in slow motion, we could get the dialogue going, because Sun was not moving. Sun was like, no, brother, this is my road.
This is my road. Here comes Nikita as well, Starbeast on the hill. Man, how did he make it all the way this far and is still alive in the wide open? Lotex says he's going to try and take things in his own hand. Maybe he's just following the road. This is a little bit of that Tokyo drift, if you ask me, a little topsy-turvy, but Squeeze Clip's got the ZRG in hand. The chopper is up top. It does. Was he the player that yoinked Jose's kill? Yay or nay?
So Squeeze was the one to get credit for the kill. He's got one on hand. That was too funny, man. Now Lotex now in a position on 4 total eliminations. He's got to be the lobby leader at the moment, just based off looking at the kill feed. Granted, there's still so many players left alive. But Lotex is going to be feeling pretty comfortable, and maybe there's kind of something mentally that says, okay, 4 kills is good to start. Now let's play for the win, because you've already established yourself as a threat towards the overall kill leadership. If you could find a way to survive to the late game, catch a couple extra kills then, and win, this could be a very wealthy day for him. Little B in the kill feed, right in front of Lotex, actually, and this might be an opportunity to third party as we take a look at the circle once again. It keeps narrowing in just in that station area, kind of right between bus station and the launch area, so could be a lot of open ground. And yeah, Lotex wants to party here. He's going to dive right on in. Little B on the corner seems to know about it, but Little B will also blink away. Right back towards the vehicle goes Lotex, but you got to keep in mind that Sun just drove by, so Lotex not confident maybe to jump into the car right now. Maybe still wants to try to finesse and see if he can get a 1v1 with Little B. Yeah,
he's trying to get that information. Little B's going to head for the hills. Lotex wanted to take the engagement off the rip, but he put it in reverse steering, backed it up, and tried to get the approach with the rewinder. So Bomber's going to be able to get some action in on Steph. That is them being eliminated. Keon Graff, I believe we've seen him in the feed at least once or twice already, so he definitely putting his name up there to contest with Lotex. I think Lotex is just, I mean, Mans is built differently in really these events. He's got himself a hefty little lead off the rip and kills, and now he's just trying to set up for that in game. So Little B is able to escape by somewhat of a miracle, but he's not going to be able to make this transition up the hill. This is a clean one for Badeo, and I'm sure we are going to see some more kills there as the snowboard is going to be hopped and looking for a little bit of a regen and maybe a little bit, but here comes Lotex. He's lurking. You're never safe when he's in the water.
Lotex is just feeling it right now. Can he get him, though? The snowboard will allow him out. Maybe just a slight missed opportunity there for Lotex, but good evasion from Badao to get out of dodge, get the kill. But still the question of, can you get back into the circle? Because this one is starting to hurt here in circle number 4, and Lotex has it in his mind that he can finish this off no problem. Yeah, baby. Casual as it ever was. 5 kills now for Lotex, still relatively healthy. He'll be able to get back to full no problem, and he's pretty safe from this position too. Yeah, there are some contestants nearby, but for the most part, it doesn't look like anyone's really looking at him.
No, it's not. He's just going to be able to continue to roam the lobby, cause all the mayhem and chaos in the world, reap the benefits, but Jose trying to get some shots in. I don't know if that's necessary. You're poking a beast right there, bro. You don't want to wake him up. Narcs is in the vicinity. We've got Tio in the mix. We've got a hefty amount of multiplayer pros still alive. As we see zone start to crash in, this is where things are about to get spicy. 24 kills left. If you got a vehicle right now, you're in a pretty good spot. If you're in... if you're on foot, it's going to be every man for himself. I mean, there is going to be a lot of players who are just lurking. I'm interested to see what lurkers pan out on top as Lotex. He had to get on the prowl. He's an apex predator, bro. Let me tell you, when his radar is set to kill you, he is not going to be denied.
The thing about it is, it looks like someone may have stole his car, though. He's on foot all of a sudden. So again, a great start for Lotex, but it might not mean anything if he gets caught in between all these vehicles, especially considering where this circle is. No real buildings anywhere nearby. Oh, this could be big for Jose. Little care package to try to get himself a little bit more kitted up. Able to at least get himself to full. No problems whatsoever. And there we go. Able to get himself now completely kitted out to 200 armor. This wouldn't be a bad idea to try to possibly try to force a fight right now while you're still fully healthy and you still hold some good high ground. It's always so tough to make that a pretense simply due to the fact that there's so many cars driving around you.
There we go. We're going to go ahead and hop to the bottom side where you can see everyone is kind of taking cover here in the basement area. There's plenty of action up top here in Bus Station. I don't know if anybody told you, man. Buses have not been a thing for a while here in COD Mobile. Guess what? There are plenty of players here looking to cash in on their tickets. Narcs is just steadily continuing to ride this snowboard, not looking for really too much of an engagement, more so less just trying to be evasive. So, I mean, some interesting strategies coming through. One wrong turn, though, he's dead. Oh! Lotex?
Splinter takes down Lotex, but in the exact same moment, Bomber's nade takes care of Splinter. Wow. What an exchange that is. So, yeah, 5 total kills for Lotex, but he loses his vehicle, and that ends up becoming possibly his demise, because look at all this. I mean, this is looking like the Ring of Fire here in a circus with all these motorcycles driving around. All the players that are on foot are just trying to hold on to buildings.
A little bit of that Twisted Metal action, right? We're getting, some horns honking. I've got a sweet tooth. Everything is just happening so quickly. Reference. Everybody's trying to get away. I wish it was a little bit more like Warzone in the sense when a Bertha collides with a vehicle like a motorcycle, it's an instant kill. Just like the ATV. If you run face onto one or if you bump up against one, you're exploding. The Berthas here have a lot of life, but so do the other vehicles, and that kind of makes it even. Oh no.
You're gonna have to call a tow truck now. Stuck, dude. Oh, that feels so bad. Well, now on foot, he's going into B-Nate's building at the moment, and they may run into one another. Yeah, they sure have. B-Nate's wins the 1v1 just in the center of your screen, barely able to survive. And so now all of a sudden, as this circle starts to shrink to dimensions that may not favor any vehicles, you look towards the players that have building control. Jose's in a spot on this clip to maybe he could pick off a player or two, maybe be a third-party element, but he's kind of stuck. Narc's up the zip line right above him as more gunfights continue to ensue. But Jose is still, I think, in a really good position. Doesn't look like Narcs has any idea that he's here. Able to get some tags onto the armor, but not able to really put himself in a position to play for the finish.
I'm digging the loadout, but I'm also not digging the loadout for this zone. I'm looking at the shotgun is not very good for range. The hipfire does finally come through. He's going to be able to take down Narcs, and I think that's what's left of the Stamina Boys. Right now, the top side of the hills where all the action is. King Roth, a big two-piece in the feed. I think Manson might have been able to pass by, but just as soon as you pass him, it's Jose who's going to get the better of the interaction. Third parties galore here in this last little bit of zone, and we've got 9 players left, and this thing is about to shrink even more. And maybe the loadout call out for me was wrong. Maybe this is the loadout you want. You want the KRM. You want those up close and personal interactions when you've got little small corridors that you hold on to, or maybe the top side of the hill that you need to clear.
Jose's is actually in the best position available right now. I mean, you can't get any vehicles down on that cliffside. He's able to finesse it a little while longer, but the question is for how long, because now the circle starts to shrink once more. Rito, not able to get into safety, has eliminated himself. RT, shots up top, not able to get a finish, and Jose still has some cliff to work with. He's got a chance to drop down right onto RT, gets his 4th elimination. Oh, but there's vehicles all over the place. This one pushing him way out of the circle. Needs to find a way to grapple in. The circle, tight as you'd like. And it's Vivant all the way around the back. One more 1v1 to possibly finish. And there's your winner of game number 1. It's GSK at the last second on the last point of health. Takes care of Vivant. But goodness, how tight that last fight was.
Oh, my. Well, ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind shift, except for when that car comes and bumps you and tags you for about 15 meters. Then you're trying to play that regain. So here we go. Game number 1. GSK taking the bag. What a bit of action towards the end, though. I am just... Lotex, what happened, man? The snowboard didn't pan out as well. The vehicle, you got to watch it, man. You got to, like, lock the door or something. I don't know. Big winner, big congrats to GSK, though. They're going to take game number 1. That $2,000 paycheck is going to look nice. Shift. Expectations, were they met? What are your thoughts? Are you?
I don't know.
My blood's pumping, buddy.
I think the thing about it is, like, we've got so much that we could talk through in this. It all starts with Lotex first and foremost. You know, he takes the aggressive approach. He takes down a number of great FPS multiplayer COD mobile players. He gets down Little B, he takes down Vague, he finds a couple of more on rotation pretty much without contest. But the thing about it is he loses his vehicle in the pursuit of taking down a couple of those members just outside as he started to come back towards bus station and gets caught. You know, just barely so, because again, he would have gotten bailed out by someone else's nade that took down his eventual killer. But, you know, this goes to show you could start off as hot as you'd like, but if you lose out on your best playability in using vehicles in an open space, you're going to get overwhelmed, and that happened. Is he in the running for overall kill leader? Absolutely. But the thing that I always say about Battle Royales is if you can survive to the final circle, kills will come. And we started to see that from a couple of our different players. A handful had 3 or 4 kills as we got into that final 1v1 by the end. So in certain ways, expectations were maybe as well as we laid them out. I mean, I think everyone's playing a little bit more aggressive than maybe we anticipated, or maybe I anticipated, but largely speaking, we saw a little bit of everything as far as how you can win a game of Battle Royale here in COD Mobile.
Oh, I definitely saw a ton of different strategies that I anticipated to see, but I didn't think they were going to work out as well. The Defender class came through in the clutch for the rotation back to that final zone. You don't take as much damage from the Storm as a secondary benefit to having that class attached, but we also saw some of the Ninja classes come through in handy too, so plenty of action left. We're taking a look at the after action report. I don't know if we're going to spoil it just yet, but I'm looking at it, and there's a plethora of kills. And maybe not necessarily Lotex getting up to the top of the leaderboard as we anticipate. He definitely put up a ton of numbers early on, but as you mentioned, you know, when your car gets yoinked, you know, what are you going to do? And obviously, he got caught with a little bit of a predicament. It didn't make it through. So plenty of action left. 3 more games left to go. We got 1 more on Isolated. Question is, are we rolling over to Blackout first, or are we?
I think we go back and forth. Yeah.
Oh,
but
yes.
I will say, though, my comedy moment of the day, and this just goes to show how solos are different than quads, is when you think you've got someone dead to rights. Jose looking right at Cerberus. You think, I got this. Takes the shot. It's Squeeze on his right that steals it away. There's always one other player. That's rule number 1 of Battle Royale. There's always another player, and that's literally the exhibit A of that.
That was such a great moment, too. I was hyping up Jose for such a great shot. He lined it up. Cerberus is not easy to take down. And lo and behold, the kill that you thought you were having was yoinked away. Squeeze coming through with the clutch. Some great positioning, too. And that's something else we've got to consider, too, as well. The positioning was key. You get to those early rotations, you're less likely to get called out on the rotations. It definitely going to be a little bit of a toss-up here going into Blackout, because we've seen Isolated. Players tend to get their scouting report from that first run. Everything that you learn from the first run won't be applied till game 3. And if you're anything like me, I've already almost forgot what the rotations were like and where the drops were. We saw Lotex in Black Market, but will we see him in Black Market again? Will we see a plethora of players going towards that dormitory area? Well, we'll have to find out in game number 3. Yeah. Game number 2 is going to be Blackout, and if I was here, I'd be dropping fire range, and I'm sure somebody's in.
I feel you on that.
Too.
Blackout's an interesting one because the POIs are, I feel larger with more clutter, so some of the vehicle moments may not be as important depending on the final circles. But I want to take a look back at some more of our vehicle alpha mayhem that we saw, because there was this one moment where Sun and Lotex are driving on the same road, and just to kind of give you an idea as far as, hey, I don't want to get out of my vehicle. Starbeast gets knocked around on his little beetle of a car, loses it to the water, and Mysterio, I'm sure, is looking down at him saying, idiot, way to go. But, you know, that was part of the reason that he wasn't able to get in either. You know, talking about trying to value your vehicles, they could be key to trying to get yourself into a position to even consider fighting for that final circle.
Man, poor Starbeast. Guy was griefed in every capacity. He went head-to-head with Lotex, and I was surprised that he even made it out of that interaction. And then add insult to injury, you get a little bit of a fender bender, must say, against a big Bertha. You're not coming out on top, and that vehicle is non-amphibious, so you're not going to be able to continue on once it hits that water. So, great, kudos to him. He's living up to his name. He survived being in an interaction with one of the best of the best. He made it to, you know, quite possibly one of the longest runs, considering he did not. His expectations were not high after getting to that interaction, but I definitely would have to say it doesn't matter about that. It matters who's going to be the lone survivor and who's going to be the last one standing. And for those $2,000, you can go ahead and put that in the bank. GSK, you got game number 1 under your belt. So is the strategy going to, be exactly the same? Roll it in the Blackout? Who knows? We'll just have to find out as soon as this next game launches off.
I think the thing about it is, you know, Blackout just plays very uniquely. But before we really jump into the ins and the outs of the details of how Blackout may differ from Isolated, here is your top 10 placers. Not that it makes a difference, because all it takes is whoever won in first, and that was YZ for that in that last 1v1 with Vivant. Sun actually was in third. He was one of those players that was kind of on collision course with Lotex in a vehicle, so he survived until late stages, but was not able to obviously get himself involved with that final 1v1 at the end. So $2,000 for YZ already set up and ready to go. Again, we'll kind of keep tally of your overall kill tallies, and then after game number 2, we'll kind of share what that top 10 leaderboard looks like, because for some of the players that, like Lotex maybe, he may be just looking at total overall kill participation to be where he finds his $2,000 for the day if things continue to go awry for him on rotations like we just saw.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. I mean, I think he has a great strategy in game number 1. Does he need to change it? I don't think he does. I love to see the aggression. I want to see you push as much as you can early on. I just want you to be a little bit more responsible in the later game. If you are trying to put yourself in, a winning spot, you got to have the keys to the car in your pocket. You just can't leave them, in the car and expect nobody to take off with them. So We'll see if he learns from mistakes of past, and it happens sometimes. All right. We'll see if he can make something happen in his next one. But a big congratulations to YZ, who came through an absolute beast of a game and a monster performance. Super excited about seeing what Blackout brings us in this next game, though.
I assume more Bertha gameplay, honestly.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to. Motorcycles, good for speed, maybe not for survivability. It's just, I don't know. The last circle gets tight real quick, and for the players that we saw, I mean, there was 22 final players that were kind of in that final location as it started to shrink steadily as we kept going from Circle 4 and past. But the players that found the most success, whether you call it by kills or trying to get to that final circle, 1v1, 1v1v1, those last 3-4 players, were all players that left their vehicles earlier, trying to work with a little bit of ground, that was still available towards them. So I don't know, maybe there's something to be learned. I think that was a very unique circle, though, all things told, just because of how the elevation played. Like the fact that we saw players hiding on little crevices of these little footpaths next to these kind of mountains and hills. I don't know if we're going to get anything quite like that in Blackout, because the map feels a little bit more fluid in ways where you don't necessarily have these giant terrain obstacles that you have to kind of scale. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting, and it's all going to start off of what drop locations everyone's going to choose, because the map makes you feel like you have to land inside the rivers just due to the fact that rotating on Blackout can be difficult between the different bridges that are available.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you got to think maybe we see adjustments in loadouts, adjustments in classes. We might see a little bit more of an aggressive approach, seeing how it's a little more difficult to make these transitions without a vehicle.
The points of interest are cluttered, but everything outside of it, it's a little bit of slopes, not necessarily the terrain that you expect in Isolated. Everything is like very high altitude in some of those key spots. One of the key spots we saw Jose in with the KRM. Is that going to be effective on a map that when you are making these transitions and you are vehicleless, you're not going to be able to, just one shot somebody that's 30, 40 meters out and you don't have any cover. So we're going to have to be taking an eye on, keeping an eye on who's making those rotations, who's making those adjustments. And maybe we'll see a few more defenders. Maybe we'll see a few less ninjas. I would say that would probably be one of the things that I would adjust.
So, and we obviously didn't get a chance to look at everybody throughout, but it felt like the majority of fights that we saw, both in the early and mid game, and even especially in the late game, we didn't really see as much defender class or even medic class that at least I was kind of thinking about. Mostly, and I guess I could kind of see it in pieces, because once you start to pop your class abilities for either medic or defender, you're kind of planted, and we saw what happened at the end of that last circle. Like, even being pushed out of the circle, the fact that you had grapple to get back in was almost life-saving. If you don't have the ability to close that space quickly in those final circles, maybe that is more detrimental than initially thought, just kind of looking at the classes on paper. I don't know. It's tough to kind of make a decision on it, but I would be curious, like you mentioned, to see if there's going to be an overwhelming support towards trying to push towards things like Ninja versus trying to play something a little bit more sustainable and stationary like a medic or a defender. And this all comes on the backside of like Pump being, denied. So, you're not quite getting that kind of overwhelming bearing in your class. So I don't know. It could be something that people are still trying to get familiar with, depending on how far out they knew about that being restricted into the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw Smoke Bomber come into the mix either. It's those wide open transitions, if you are vehicleless, provide you a little bit of cover in that instance. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to make those adjustments in this next game. I still feel like everyone's going to be going back to that. What has worked in the past is going to continue to work mentality, and I would not expect a lot of players to adapt and switch off that ninja class because it is OP. You're able to grapple, as you mentioned, and put yourself in a position to potentially clutch it up. And without that, you wouldn't have even had that life, pushed into the zone outside of being knocked and bumped out by a vehicle. But in this next map, it's going to be unfolded. Where's the adaptation? Who's going to be able to pick up on what happened in game number one? Bar the fact that we're not going back to Isolated, we're heading over to Blackout. Who's going to adapt and who is going to stand out? I mean, obviously, I'm still looking at Lotex as being one of those aggressive players earlier on, but I'd be interested to see what those kills look like as the leaderboard is going to be displayed up on the screen. There we go. Verdict, it's just like magic.
Ooh.
You asking, you receive. We didn't see very much report POV, but my God, 7 off the rip. That is a pretty good start for him.
That's a great start. And you might be thinking, 7 to the 5, like that's not that big of a gap, but look at how significant the fall off is. Like, in the top 10, if you got 2 kills, you're able to get listed. So the fact that 10th to 7th is 2 kills, and the gap between 1st and 2nd is that same 2, I don't know. That's more significant than we may think. So goes to show, we saw Report maybe surviving a little bit longer than Lotex into that final 22-player scrum that we had. And he was able to find, like I said, like you get to the late game, you're going to find kills if you put yourself in a great position. It's hard to know what a great position is because there's 70 players and you're playing by yourself, but I think that goes to show that you survive, you're going to find eliminations. You don't necessarily have to take the, I dropped in, I'm going to start running at people approach to make it towards the top of that overall kill leaderboard. Again, sample size is 1, so we can't necessarily put a stamp on it, but it's a pretty good indication, I think, of what's to come.
No, I think you're absolutely right. This is a tried and tested strategy that we see a lot of these COD Mobile Pro players when they're playing collectively with their team. In that format, it's a tried and tested, and it works for certain players. Achman is one of those from AMK, obviously. We're talking about Report. We're talking about Lotex in the sense they picked up 7-5, but we are going to go ahead and head over as the flight pattern is going to be starting from west to east. It is going to cut this map into a quarter.
Yeah.
Have no fear, though. I believe everyone, as long as you're able to make your drop count, you should be able to reach at least as far as train station, maybe even construction site. But Nuketown Island, I'm sure there's about to be a lot of action as someone has already hopped to pop the plane. That's what I'm talking about. I've mastered the Warzone plane. I have yet to master this one. This is very difficult, but very productive, and you can get some free kills early on just on rotations with that vehicle.
Report is going to love this. He may not know fully, but he's going to love that he picked to land on hijack. He's got the entire boat to loot for free, and he's got a helicopter. It really doesn't get any better than that. Not to mention, of course, he's also number 1 on our kill leaderboard, so he's going to be feeling pretty confident what he brought to the table in lobby number 1. Low-Tech's going to be contested, though. He's got Botman nearby and another player just on the outside. That's Falsa, who was significant in that mid-game into the late circle from lobby number 1, so definitely not anyone to shy away from, as our first couple of kills have already happened. Jose getting back into the mix early. He definitely, I'm sure, with that, will start to find himself into the top 10 kills. And now Low-Tech's early gunfight. Ooh, doesn't get a lot of a chunk onto Botman initially, but is able to pull out the secondary weapon with the Switchblade, and that will be good enough to finish off for his first kill of the second drop.
Great rotation. Knew exactly where the vicinity of where Botman was. Botman trying to creep through. Low-Tech plays it cool, calm, and collective. You saw the first initial shot come through and connect. That's the hit marker to clear the plates, pulls out the switchy. There's nothing wrong with anything with that scenario. Botman, it's unfortunate. He came across a demon early on in this lobby. His Fracking Tower is very, very populated. Well, it's not so much anymore now as we start to see the plane in the air, that aircraft. Definitely going to be a factor. Trying to take it down. I wonder if anybody's going to be able to collect a FHJ. I don't know how quite effective it is on that, but right now Low-Tech is doing what he needs to do. He's looted up, he's got a vehicle, and he's going to be back on the prowl in this lobby. It's got to be on the lookout for him now, as we're going to head over to Resume, who's got plenty of action heading his way too, as it looks like he's made his way on his drop. It looks like are we in, is this the dam?
This looks like Hydro. Yeah,
Hydro?
This looks like
Okay.
Hydro here. Yeah, it's always really funny, but because again, Black Ops 4, like the whole map was one like ecosystem. Like you didn't have snow versus desert. It was like kind of all the same outside of like the area by Turbine. So seeing like snow pop up it always kind of throws me aloof for a moment. That's for sure Hydro. And we drop back over towards kind of this diner area. There is another player nearby here you saw kind of a high ground to low ground situation, as in the kill feed. Sun has dropped away early by Band. Low-Tech's on his motorcycle is just kind of perusing to see what exactly may be waiting for him nearby. He will watch one player just on the inside of the fences. Does he want to take the fight?
That's a great question. Look at the operator change, or the class change too. He's still got the rewind. There it goes. The shots are coming in. Falsa. Again, these wide open transitions not going to fare if you don't have any kind of cover. Trying to get there. The tree is where you're going to evacuate. Here comes the rewind. With the 1-2 punch, the shots are crisp. This is like watching a lion pounce on its prey at this point. Falsa going to go ahead and get out of the vicinity for now, but the trailers are one thing. You get up close and personal. That KRM is certainly another.
Well, but if Falso's been able to get himself fully healed up, yeah, this fight does not become a one-sided affair like it looked like, and yeah, now Low-Tech is starting to get punished for it. The SSX tricky combo moves he was pulling off the snowboard not going to count for much besides style points, as Falsa has successfully been able to peel away and avoid the fight. Voltex wants more, though. That's the thing.
Oh, I was totally muted. That's on me. I love the strat. Look. It's a great strat. Beautiful. You engage, you don't get the kill. It took longer than 30 seconds. Reevaluate, move on, reposition. Forget it ever happened. Why? Because those third parties, there's always somebody there. You mentioned it earlier, Ship. There is always somebody lurking in the hills. There's always somebody lurking. Right now, it's Report who is lurking with the helicopter. He got prime loot over at the yacht of Hijacked, and surely enough, he was uncontested. So back over to King Rafu, who was picked up too early. He's on the prowl. He needs to plate up as he's got plenty of action here. We got game one winner. Was that Wisey that was in the vicinity?
Yeah, sure is.
Well, hey, we're gonna bounce back to Low-Tech, as it does look like Low-Tech is gonna continue to bark at this this same tree, and Falsa probably going to be in a spicy pickle. Live by the gun, die by the gun. And right there, that was an instance where maybe, you know, you did a great job of evading, but hey, you can only prolong the inevitable. I don't know. Lotex is just one demon that I would not want to deal with.
Yeah. Have you ever had a spicy pickle, by the way?
Very much so. Yeah.
They're delicious. There's like pickle in a bag. Have you had those spicy pickles in a bag?
Oh my God, they're so
Dude, they're so good. They're so good.
The perfect combination of zesty and spice. It's just amazing.
I love this about you. Report over towards kind of the airplane takeoff launch pad. He's going to be able to get himself fully kitted and invested here up to 200 armor. He's got to be feeling pretty confident, like you mentioned. He had hijacked by himself, and then he even got a little bit of extra loot over towards construction site, largely because the plane initially was so far south on its initial trajectory line. So even that provided some extra kind of kitting out for him to do. Down to 48 players, and Jose's in a little bit of trouble here. Just kind of takes the car to the chest and says, I guess this is the fight that I'm taking, and Resume punishes. He'll get on the board.
A little bit of road rage never hurt anybody wrong. A little bit of, you touched my car, you hit my car. I tried to pop the ninja as well, but Narcs is reporting a bit of a interaction as we speak. It's the follow-up of the BY. It's beautiful. Report picking up where he left off. We didn't catch a lot of those in game number 1. There was a ton of them being had as he picked up 7. That's going to be his first of this one. So beautiful interaction with him. He's going to be able to replay it. He's still got his vehicle too, the helicopter.
Oh my goodness.
As chalked as it looks, it is still very viable to fly.
There's so much noise around Report right now, though. Planes, cars, trains and automobiles, all of them all coming through, it feels like. Lotex still hunting things down as Cerberusky right in front of him tries to get out to try to force the gunfight, but it will be pretty much moot as everyone just kind of separates and goes their own way. It's interesting now. Okay, now this is our first great look at where the circle is going to be. Perfect timing. It's going to be centered on Array. Look how many circles are up towards train station and still across the river at Rivertown. All those players are going to have to meet. And if you're like me and you're trying to figure out where that might be, it very well could be at firing range or down towards that farms area. So this could be a really spicy rotation for about almost half of our lobby, trying to get out of the east and over in towards the central part of the map.
Ooh. Lotex continuing to deal damage right now. Big, gonna hop out. The Antelope, I think, was almost chalked at any rate. Does he have... Yeah, he's got the new operator on. The rewind's gonna help out Lotex. He's gonna take a little bit of damage, but he's gonna peel back. And Big trying to incinerate anybody who comes near him. Nagi's here for the third party as well, but the vehicle not going to necessarily be a factor at this moment. One shot with the KRM, a little bit of an ADS, but man, these interactions are lasting way too long. And Lotex doing the smart thing, trying to get a better reposition. As you know, we've mentioned it several times before. There's several players lurking in the vicinity. You've got multiple vehicles. You also got a freaking plane that's in the sky trying to grief you. This is not a great spot for Lotex.
It's like the epilogue to Top Gun Maverick going on. And Lotex, I'm surprised he didn't try to finish that fight. I thought he would have felt confident in the damage that he did to try to finish off the last player. But not to be. He backs away just trying to sustain himself and now finds himself with no armor. Meanwhile, in the kill feed, B-Nate's able to take down Drari, so a big player down off of the kind of pro seed, if you want to call it that. Logic over towards kind of the resort has players nearby, but the fight continues kind of in and around this construction all the way down to Array area. It looks like everyone trying to vie for position in that key POI that looks like it might be where our final circle is.
Yes. There goes that Defender class coming into effect. It's not going to be as handy as necessary as the flash does not connect and reporting for duty, homie. No risky business here. He is here for the kill. He is peeled out as he's going to continue on with his rampage. He's got 2 on board so far. He picked up 7 in game number 1, leading the lobby in that regard. But right now, I think it's still a toss-up. We've got a little bit of a motorcycle showdown too. Ammo. a little bit of honking of the horn, like, hey, buddy, you want to pull over? Maybe we can just talk things through, nothing physical. We'll just handle it civilized, right? Well, there goes the rally car, too. So this is exactly what we expected. I mean, Solo's vehicles are going to be a factor, and Lotex just needs to do a great job of maintaining the vehicle. We saw it get yoinked in game number 1. That was ultimately his demise. So we'll see if he can continue to carry on as he is, as I know he wants to be aggressive, but if you're playing for that in-game, got to find yourself in a good position with your vehicle.
And the other thing, just to kind of refrain back over towards that defender v defender fight that we had seen, as much as you feel like you're going to be safe because you get the barricade, your opponent can play off of that as well. So we kind of saw that come through for Report, just kind of using his opponent's defender as a way to kind of finesse him a little bit. And I was going to say, Report's going to have to move here. That beach side is not going to be in the final circle in any regard. Actually, even over towards the 8-pack of houses where you see one player kind of on the north side of our future circle, that's not even all that safe. You really do want to kind of be down in towards Array, or even where the player is down towards Diner on that southwest side of the map. That could be a nice place to set yourself up if you want to try to avoid fights and see maybe if you get lucky with the circle pulling down towards you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, right now, everything is starting to come down. We're going to know here what this third circle zone is going to push us towards. Players are starting to scramble now. Look at player X. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to make it back. Is he lost?
He's got a helicopter.
Do you think he's
in the plane? Yeah.
He's in a... Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know if he knew how to turn that thing around. Surely enough, it's going to track right back over. Okay. Look, I'm in the plane. It's like sometimes it's hard to navigate. I've never mastered it. I wish I had that kind of specialty, but these guys know how to make something happen with it. Did he get it yoinked? It looked like he was in the plane, then all of a sudden... you know what? My eyes are deceiving me. I'm old. A little bit of... shots coming through. The sedan is pulled up. The motorcycle's hopped out. Squeeze clip's going to get dropped. The Report is just continuing to terrorize this lobby. 4 already, Shift. How many more can he get before this game ends?
Well, he's got the power of the Batmobile on his side. The power of justice. And he's definitely dishing out a cold portion of it right now. Able to even get a little bit off the drop for just a moment there just to get himself even further battle-tested and battle-ready. 35 total players remained. Again, you saw where that circle was starting to pull towards. It's going to be mostly east of where that last one was. Array still involved. Low-Tech's in trouble, but will blink away. And is able to recall back into the action and just avoid King Ray for long enough. Another kill tallied for Low-Tech's.
There we go. 4 on board. Good positioning. Good investment into the motorcycle is where he's going to hit the hills for some more action. The Bertha almost took him off the road, but he's going to be able to evacuate that area. So Barusi's going to drop Little B. He's getting grief this second time around. King Raph still in the mix. B-Hawk from Skade still alive over here as well. Empathy looking like they are just going to continue to coast by here on the hills and Blackout. Man, everything is centralized to the top side of this hill because nobody wants to kind of get away out of that vicinity. You've got the top side, you've got power, Space trying to get some power in, some shots in.
Space in trouble.
Catches you on the mantle. Oh, baby. But here comes the antelope. Oh,
dude,
my.
How did that car stay suspended up there? Space, I'm sure, is just as puzzled as anybody else. He's kind of stuck on the ledge for longer than he anticipated. Now, all of a sudden, Report's kind of lost his main purpose of movement and his vehicle of choice. Will be able to get himself up to the full set of 200 armor. Snowboards his way in towards the motorcycle, which he'll be able to use to get into the next zone, no problem. So the kill feast continues. A little bit of a battle of who can kill harder between Report and Low-Tech's at the moment. 5 kills for Report, 4 kills for Low-Tech's in this map. So a kind of a cushion of 3 total kills on the leaderboard at the moment in favor of Report. But we all have to keep in mind that there's still 31 total players. Still half of our lobby remains as these teams are still fighting for the $2,000 to take the win.
You're absolutely right. I mean, vehicles are going to be all too important right now. As points of interest, if we've taken a look at the mini-map, is that southwest corner. I'm interested to see if that little diner strip is still, available, or if we're just going to have a hillside battle. It looks like King Ross says, I'm going to drop the Bertha. I want the Batmobile. It looks nice. Look, a little flame coming out the backside, a little speed boost. Maybe we'll get some hoopty action with that. Is he's going to head to the top side where there are plenty of players just roaming freely. It's all about getting the kill and getting back to your vehicle. Do not deviate from that strategy, as we saw how epic it could, make a turn for the worst. As Low-Tech's bit the dust, Ammo is going to go ahead and put some fire into Super, and Super's going to get dropped That'll be the end of his roll. That's going to leave us with 30 as everything here at Array is in a disarray. I'm going to be honest with you. There's so many players in the vicinity of this site. You got people in vehicles. You got people inside of buildings. You've got top side control. You got bottom side control. There's nowhere to go. If you're in a vehicle, just stay in it at this point, as the storm is surely going to be crashing in on most of these players.
You got to be a little bit careful if you're King Rafa there, because getting a vehicle out of Array safely can be difficult, because it's just essentially 2 entry points. And yeah, King Raph is, I think, feeling a little stuck. He actually wants to loot a little bit more? Okay, so he's not feeling super confident in either his ammo or maybe even his armor. I didn't get a chance to see how many armor plates he had, but definitely not feeling good. How about Cerberusky? That's the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen him in the kill feed against a major opponent. You see him right here in front of Lotex, and he is able to kind of maneuver around, but Lotex just as maneuverable and agile on his snowboard. Again, looking like the next SSX Tricky character in Mix. And he's going to have a chance to possibly finish off Cerberusky, but no such luck here. And once again, Lotex finds himself without a vehicle. Tricks galore are fine, but how do you get into this next circle safely?
That's a great question. That is a very great question. You got a fence right in front of you. You got players on the inside and outside. Cerberusky going to be able to ninja his way up to the top. Ritto's at the bottom of the staircase, homie. Is anybody home? I don't know. This is Grandma's house. She's always cooking up something. What is Report cooking up, though? Cerberusky trying to get the movement down. He's also trying to plate. He's going to interact right there, but the poltergeist, Ritto doesn't want any part of it. In the top side of this house may look safe, but look at how many players are in the vicinity that could just absolutely cause chaos. Cerberusky doesn't like the reading. Is going to opt to rotate over towards another rooftop. Oh, this is a quite questionable call here. I don't know how much longer we're going to see him alive.
I don't think Ritto knew that Cerberusky was right behind him for as long as he was. Because he was just kind of minding his own business, and Ritto is up on top. Opportunity for Cerberusky to get kill number 4. He's going to go for it. Grapple on the way in. Ritto down low, but you have to be careful because literally this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 23rd party that could possibly come through with all the vehicles nearby, but it doesn't seem to be deterring Cerberusky whatsoever. One more grapple up the top. Loses for a moment, but will be able to, I assume, finish him off. Took a little bit more due diligence than initially thought, but Cerberusky gets kill number 4. Now it's just about surviving.
Yeah, it is. Look at all this traffic, man. It's like we're in Atlanta right now. Good night. You can't move anywhere. As soon as we say that big, going to be able to capitalize on a massive third party. Takes the demon out of the lobby. Logic, hey, there we go. Just walk right in front of the Batmobile. King Raph will kindly take that free kill. That is very unfortunate timing for him, but great timing for King Raph as he picks up his 3rd. Zones start to crash in. These vehicles, they're only going to be viable here for, as long as this zone continues to crash in. You got to be able to juke and jive. Motorcycles are probably going to be your best bet. You're very maneuverable. You're able to get out of sticky situations in a pinch, and this is where Report is going to actually try and get a plate off. I'm not quite sure if the plate was necessary. It was 3/4 of one left, but then again, they are the pro players for a reason. He's playing. I'm not. B8's Gamer's playing as well. He's taking down L Big in the feed, and look at all this, man. This is like. Circles on circles on circles of players who are just infinitely running. They're going to run out of gas at some point, right?
So 16 of our 18 players are currently in vehicles. The only 2 that were not were B-Nates and an Era, I'm pretty sure, were the only 2 that were kind of sitting in opposite buildings from one another. Everyone else is just waiting for the circle to come in tight, and then it's just about, the demolition derby. Who takes who out of their vehicle first? And it may be on the onus of someone like B-Nates or an Era, who are in a little bit of a troubling position. Dater's going to lose his life to the zone. Yeah, now more players on snowboards and just on foot. But report of seeing where do I need to be to find myself the best position possible to actually capitalize on all these kills that I found. Smoke's now also coming through, as an Era will also drop their life to the zone. So once again, as much as we like to think that kills are going to come in the late game, the traffic starts to ensue, and it's Report who gets off his motorcycle first and foremost. He has a chance to deal some significant damage off on the outside. Why is he still up? He's able to find 1 kill, but not able to repeat and go back-to-back lobbies.
There we go. Report picking up his 7th. He's going back-to-back. Why is he not going to be able to withstand all of the pressure here in the demolition derby? And let me tell you, baby, these cars are rallying, looking for blood, looking for whatever they can do, looking to just stay alive, more importantly. Modeo is going to be able to take down Empathy in the background. That's some kilo action if I've ever seen it. The MAC-10 here at the top side of this hill, as well as a combo with the secondary. Report going to be able to continue to just wreak absolute dominance in Blackout. Nonetheless, it is the connection from Isolated. He has not skipped a beat. And this hill's coming down. 10 lives left. How many players still in vehicles?
Dude, Report is cleaning everybody up. Hold on a second. This defender's giving him some separation from all the vehicles that are around. They can't just go right into the barricade. B-Nates, who's also not into vehicles, able to find himself a car kill. So 6 total players that are left. You see Petrus is down to about 1 HP. Also, one of our skate members, also down extremely low. Resume loses their life, and now B-Nates is just running around looking for kill to kill, going by 1 and 1 each, but it's Naddy who finishes off the elimination. Vivant, he was able to miss out on the last 1v1 from game 1. This time corrects his mistakes and finds a low HP JPA to get his victory in lobby number 2.
Oh, that was such a great play from him, too. We're talking about adapting from game 1. What better way to set yourself up for success other than changing that class? I think he was the only one with the medic, and he only gets 1 kill. That's all that he needed. 1 kill for $2,000. That's back-to-back we've seen. Big brain strats coming through in the late games, panning out perfectly for Vivant. Big game number 2 here in Blackout.
Unreal stuff. It's just how funny it is that he has a chance to win lobby number 1, misses out on it by that much, because Wisey was at the end of his life as well, just outside the circle. This time, able to take down a low HP JPA for $2,000. It's Lone Survivor there, friends. This Rivalry series is crazy. You win a lobby, you win $2,000. You get the most kills on the day, though. You also have a chance at $2,000, and I think that's probably for a lot of people out there, maybe the more exciting way to go about playing the event, and there are some favorites for that, but hey, 1 kill is as good as 14, as we just learned from Vivant, who's able to find himself the first share of our $10,000 prize pool.
Congratulations. That adaptation, just being able to pick up what you needed to close this one out. I mean, obviously he had this planned out from the beginning. I assume you play the outside of that zone, you throw the medic down, perfect little scramble right there, gets the kill to go along with it. What I will say as well too is we're about halfway there. We've gotten 2 games in. The strategies for some of these players who are coming through with aggressive off the rip, not panning out early on here, do you make the adjustment? That is the question to them, because you've seen back-to-back big games from Report. He doesn't look like he's going to slow down anytime soon. He is not going to pump the brakes. He's going to hit that acceleration, and the way he's playing, bro, I just don't see anybody taking him or Lotex in that sense early on out to kind of close that gap.
The thing about it is, I think we're both in the same boat here, Verdict. I'm impressed, but does it matter? Because Report and Lotex look like they're going to be on top of the kill leaderboard. Only one of them will be able to win the $2,000 if they keep this up after the 4 drops. So you could be doing all of this in vain, essentially, which would be obviously very tough scenes if that were to occur. So I don't know. It's tough to see, but I think there is something to be said about how Vivant's playing. 2nd place in lobby number 1, 1st place in lobby number 2, almost back to back. It was really just 1 bullet of difference that could have been $4,000 in his pocket compared to the $2,000. But hey, maybe we need to be watching more of what Vivant's doing here in these late circles, because he seems to have a really good idea as far as what it means to be in that final chance to possibly win a lobby.
Yeah, he clutched that last one as well. So he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's making these big brain plays. As we take a look, placement for game number 2. Vivant coming through with that finish in that 1st place spot. Japata Mashiro going to come through with a 2nd, but that doesn't matter. Anything outside of game or outside of 1st place doesn't pay. All right, the bills, they're going to be needing to be taken care of. You're not going to get it in 2nd and 3rd. You got to find that edge and put you on top. And the edge for Vivant that last game was the meta class. So I will continue to applaud him for making that adjustment. I don't necessarily know what he had in game number 1, but a big brain play that paid off $2,000. I mean, I don't know. Those are high dividends, right?
Oh, absolutely it is. There were a lot of different moments throughout this last map that I think, again, we could kind of rest our hats on here and be able to see kind of where the differences in mentality are coming from. Obviously, the last 1v1 is the last 1v1. Vivant's just in a great position to kind of capitalize on a low HP opponent, but there were a couple of very key moments throughout the entirety of this last lobby that was the difference maker between players like Report and Lotex continuing their kill spree into the final circle and not being able to do that at all, because you're a little bit too greedy, I think, at certain moments when there are, 75% of our players
flying around and driving around in vehicles. You get rid of that, you lose that little bit of movement. All of a sudden, you miss out on a chance to even fight for that final circle. So we'll take a look back over some of those moments here that I think kind of stole the show for us in lobby number 2 as soon as they're ready here for us. And then we'll be looking back over at Isolated once again. But, I mean, you even see it kind of right off the rip. You know, Hilmania, Jose, right out in front. How about this? Hilmania just trying to play for positioning. Nade comes in, and Jose takes a free kill. The beauty of awareness in isolation. This was one of our defender fights that came through, where Report kind of drops the barrier first. Narcs is in a little bit of trouble, and as much as you feel safe behind this barrier, hey, watch how Report finesses here. He says, all right, you got to move eventually. I could also use your cover as a little bit of help for me, and then catches Narcs just completely caught without a paddle up a creek. So it's moments like that that are obviously, you know, you kind of look at the class differentials as far as, okay, like, is this actually working out for me? Report once again just showing some alpha dominance with the vehicles, squeezed, nowhere to go as soon as his motorcycle was turned upside down. And it's just kind of showing, you know, the power that we start to see with between vehicles and classes alike that we've continued to talk about.
Yeah, the Batmobile, man, he's just wanting to make everybody a hood ornament. Just the motorcycle interaction, you followed up some crispy shots. King Roth got to go into that vehicle. He said, I want some of the action too. He's going to be able to get some road kill and some road rage out on this game number 2. So Blackout was a beauty. Again, as you mentioned, we're going to get geared up for game number 3. It's going to be back on Isolated. Strategies, they've got to adapt. They got to change their mindset. If you're looking for those aggressive kills, that lobby leaderboard has definitely got to be sitting nice. And I mean, I don't know anybody else outside of Report who's done it consistently back to back.
We'll see. We're going to take just a small break, though, in between lobby number 2 and lobby number 3. We reset back to Isolated when we come back with the COD Mobile Rivalry Series Lone Survival right after this. baby, we are halfway through the COD Mobile Rivalry Series. Lone Survivor, 2 drops down, 2 drops to go. We've already given away $4,000 of our 10 grand prize pool. I zoomed myself in more on my camera. I did not mean to do that. Now I'm massive and you look very tiny compared to me. I'll fix that here in a moment, Bert. Don't worry. Otherwise, we can just, you guys, I'll lean back.
Yeah, up close and personal.
That yeah, my bad there. But we've got a couple of things to consider. Not only are we going back to Isolated for drop number 3, but we will have a look here at our overall kill leader, and I think just about everybody who's been watching should have a pretty good guess on who's on top of the leaderboard right now.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, once that verdict comes in, I would have to say at the top of that report would probably be someone we are 100% on page with. It's no gas, it's no joke. Everybody knows that report was running the lobby. 16 kills on board, 7 of which came from game number 1, 9 in game number 2. And then after that, look how much of a drop-off it goes. 16 to 9 for low techs.
Yeah.
We're going to see a reevaluation of strategy for most of these players because, hey, we know who the aggressive demon is in the lobby. You can't deal with them early on. There's no way that you're going to be able to make that catch up and expect him to just kind of fold after 2 games where he just looked absolutely indestructible.
Hey, all it takes is one mistake, though. You fall out early if you're a report. Who knows? It kind of turns into maybe a 3 or 4-way battle to try to get up to that last lobby and be that kill leader. But I think just to kind of hit on the question that you posed, like, is it time to change things up? I think if you're low techs and you get the information that you're down 7 total kills and you've only been able to put together 5 and 4 total kills over the last 2 games, I think you say, all right, time to pause. Let me get to the late game, because he's missed out on even finishing in the top 10 of all of her individual drops. Now, again, that number doesn't really matter because second is as good as 63rd, but the same fact remains that you haven't even really given yourself a look at winning these lobbies yet. Whereas Report has been closer. I think he finished like 7th in game number 2 or something like that in overall placement. But I don't know. That's the thing, is like when you choose to set your entire event up for only the 2 grand for overall kill participation, you miss out on possibly 8 grand worth of the total prize pool because you're not in a position to fight for first. So I think mentally halfway through, yeah, those conversations are going to start to crop up here if your name is low techs.
I agree with you. And we've made talk and conversation about, you know, what we have and our thoughts. And me in particular, my thoughts are always cool, calm, collective, conservative. I'm always trying to look for what the best case scenario is. These pro players, they love to be aggressive. I would not be surprised to see low techs double down and try and crank it up and possibly try to close that gap. Might even try to look back on where, you know, report dropped in game number 1 and game number 2, kind of get a feel of where he's going to be at.
Sure.
And with that kind of intel, that scouting report comes in, he might be able to get a drop and try and take things in his own hands. That's an ego chow, I get it, but these are pro players we're talking about. The confidence is a booming on their side. We haven't seen a change up yet from him. I don't anticipate to see him do anything differently here going into game number 3.
No, not at all. I think, again, you've already set yourself up for what win condition could be, at least in one of the 2 competitive categories that we have, which is winning a lobby or winning it by overall total kills. Either way leads to a pathway that is filled with green and some cheddar. So, hey, who knows? Hard to say as far as if that will change things up for him. You know, we did see a little bit more, just kind of getting back to the conversation of after map number 1, we talked about possible class swap-ups for map number 2. We did see a little bit more Defender being used. Maybe that was just because we caught Defender v Defender fights and it felt like there was maybe more than there actually was. But even in that late circle, we saw like B-Nades, for instance, had dropped, I believe, a Defender and had a car on the other side of him. So he kind of isolated himself away from a lot of the vehicles. So maybe there is something to be said about getting out in those old 2 feet, hoofing it at the end, and setting yourself up in a safer corner away from all that vehicle nonsense. We'll see. As we jump back over to Isolated, plane goes due north to due south, all in the west third of the map. So stretching to Sakura, Killhouse, and Countdown would be tough to ask. It's still possible, and it will allow you a chance to possibly play for either the helicopter that's up there on the northeast side or potentially the jet or the helicopter that's over on the far due east side of the map. Zoe not going to be able to get out of the first gunfight. Low-Tex gets the pounce, and that'll be good for another elimination tally to Low-Tex's name.
Yep, we'll see what kind of strategies he's got brewing there as he's cleaned out everything in sight over at the Black Market area. We're on B-Nades Gamer now as he's trying to get the trek from the ATV Where will he go? Shots are coming in. He's got a player directly behind him, and it does not look like he's going to be heading towards the action. He's going to be heading away from it. Wants to loot up a little bit. If we take a look at the expanded map, we're going to see everything south of nuclear plant is going to be in zone. Everything north of northeast or northwest rather. Good night. Going to be fair game for practice range. But this first zone not going to be that crucial to the rotation, but it's all about late game if you're trying to play for that dose. So we'll see who can get the cheddar here in game number 2. The first kill came through. We saw a first-hand report. Now trying to snake his way to the top side of this water tower. There's nobody here, and you can see he's just kind of circling and circling. But his strategy has been, I'm not going to look for danger, but if danger comes my way, I'll surely put things in my hands.
100%. I don't know who it was. I don't know if we have a chance of swapping over to the player that's over a countdown. I think his isolated circle was like AP was his name. But there was only one player on the entire southeast part of the map. There were jets, there were helicopters, and there was free loot all over the place. So whoever that may be over on the far southeast side of the map is going to have a chance to get fully kitted out and then rotate in late. So maybe not a lot of kills, but I'll be curious to see what kind of loot they bring into those final fights. Meanwhile, imminent contact, you would think, between Jose and whoever happens to be below him. That's Big, I think, that I saw there for a moment. Yeah, El Big right below him. And obviously, Jose is just going to try to use this rooftop until Big tries to make a move and then obviously just pounce from there.
There we go. There's another strat right here that I'm looking at here for as we switch point of views. King Raph going to go ahead and get that refitter. Yeah. And
by himself.
By himself. But look at it. The adaptation here. We saw a rally car derby in game number 2. We saw everyone circle. What does that refitter do? Not only does it provide you plates for long game, but it also repairs your vehicle. Right now, there's going to be some massive repairs that are going to be needed for Big as he is going to be escorted out of the lobby. Jose is going to be able to pick up his second. He's on a bit of a tear right now. He's kind of split in between two. It looks like one's on vehicle. One's kind of just lurking around the vicinity as things are still snowy as ever. He's going to be able to continue loot up. We're on player report now as he is opted to ditch the water hole, the tower, try and take things a little bit more seriously as he's going to be trying to push towards zone as well. He's got Narcs who's in the vicinity of the area. If he's the player that I know he is, I know he's at least got one sniper inside the bag on top of the hill. This is an interesting interaction. I think report kind of knows that someone is in the vicinity. It is not trying to get a little bit overly too aggressive. Super is going to get aggressive. Squeeze is going to get dropped. So that one is surely going to escalate as report is going to have to push right through Narcs to get the zone. I'll be interested to see if he takes that interaction.
In the midst of all this as well, you kind of saw there for a moment in the kill feed that JPA done and dusted in an early gunfight. So that was your runner-up from lobby number 2, now down and out. So no chance to try to get back and maybe do exactly what Vivant had done after missing out on a win in lobby number 1, came back and won the final 1v1 for game number 2. There will be no such romanticized stories here for JPA. Report on the move. No one nearby by the look of it. As we see Splinter also getting in the mix. He had found a couple of kills in the first 2 lobbies, so maybe a possible threat late to try to make a surge towards the top of the kill leaderboard. And Super already in his vehicle will, again, just kind of establish what we had seen in the first 2 lobbies. Get yourself kitted, get ready to go, and then just find yourself a vehicle that you can kind of cruise for the rest of the game.
Yeah, back on the road again. Love to see it. Love to see the rally cars coming through in full effect right now. Players are kind of distributed evenly across the map. There's not a ton of interaction. We've seen a few come through. 10 players have dropped so far in this first zone before it's crashed through. So still plenty of action left to in this third game here on Isolated. Super trying to just hit the hills. I mean, hey, put the pedal to the metal. Go ahead and find action. Don't necessarily be too aggressive. Got to beware of those trees. They just hop up out of anywhere. And right now they're going to be able to get that chip terminal for free. As one player is kind of lurking in the vicinity. It's player AG. Interested to see if they were just trying to wait to see if anybody else was going to come through. They're not going to engage. That's smart. Well, Little B is engaging. He's got a shiny to be wide. He's going to be able to find his first of this round. So back over to the snow we go. Jose still lurking right around the vicinity, and the hills are going to be closing in. I believe that flight circle pushed us towards the middle of the map, and Jose is going to be able to get the big berth and make that rotation.
Yeah, it was kind of leaning more southwest-ish than maybe as central as we saw lobby number 1 here on Isolated, but it definitely will kind of force everyone kind of east of the crash area, practice range area, back over in towards the more neutral terrain that we see kind of in between launch base and the state and all those other locations. Jose going to even venture a little bit further outside the zone. Maybe just wanted to get a little bit extra loot before he has to force himself in. I don't know what it is about this little Beetle car, but it's not been finding a lot of success. This cosmetic has been causing some issues. We saw, I think it was B-Nates in the first game, or Star Beast was in one of these and it lost it to the river. I feel like this thing gets overturned more than it should.
Yeah, and for an ATV, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm thinking it was good. Go ahead and get a snowboard. I don't know. Get out of that one. It's a beauty, but the electric blue might be deceiving. You might be gravitating towards it. Might need to gravitate away from it. It has not been the absolute best form of transportation. I would expect that maybe just heading up the hill right now, they're just gonna be free to loot. Jose going to be able to continue to do so here as things are starting to get a little bit more dicey with the zone crashing in. But again, it's minimal damage, so get what you can get, hit the road, and don't look back. As we see Citrus is hitting the road. I think it's the first time I've said his name all day, and he's actually going to hit another player in a vehicle. So some more road rage here in game number 3, and plenty more to come.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know if we have a chance to see how Vivant might be doing after his victory. Again, we kind of noted not only did he finish second in the first lobby, but in his win last lobby, he only found 1 kill. So he may not be the most aggressive player in the world, but he's finding a lot of consistency in placement. And maybe that has to do with what he's able to kind of loot for himself to get into that final circle, as empathy will drop in the kill feed. I will say, as far as tempo and pacing is concerned, this has been our slowest lobby so far. As we do jump on board with Vivant, you had mentioned the medic class in between our second lobby and starting the third. He's one that is representing that class selection. And you can see it. This is very dictative. Like, I don't want to give away any information. I don't even want you to see me. Don't even know that I'm here. I am simply a blade of grass in the wind as I move from building to building.
He is but a blade of grass. No, hear no evil, see no evil. You don't see Vivant, you don't hear him. He is just moving, trying to get that strategic placement and positioning right now as he's maneuvering through the sites. Citrus, you're on a little bit of a road rage, buddy. That's your second vehicle manslaughter. I'm thinking maybe you should have just been in the vehicle the whole entire time this series. He's got 2 already.
Yeah.
With this one being a slowly developed game, would anticipate him to pick up some more as things are progressing. So the look at the sky as you see it. It's not a bird. It's not it is a plane, but it's a jet.
It is a plane.
Those things are we haven't seen too much of what that jet brings down, but it can rain a lot of havoc. As we mentioned, havoc being wreaked, it is Logic who is going to be able to bring some mayhem to the boys over at Mayhem.
What is happening with this Bertha? Space being hunted? Oh, or is he? The hunted becomes the hunter very quickly. Space barely even taking any damage, finding elimination by way of Mac 10. Does see Lotex nearby, and you know Lotex is going to pop out of that helicopter with the high ground and try to find a dub. But back to Vivant. Very quickly seeing him rotate as more drops start to come through. Lotex high ground, Space in trouble, trying to fight back. Lotex not able to find money connections. Just 58 HP for Space and eventually take it down. Lotex, that's his second kill here in lobby number 3.
It's always quicker to switch to your secondary than get a reload off when you got a apex predator like Lotex on the prowl. You need any and every bit of an advantage, and surely enough, he got top side of the hill. Lotex was able to get the dub in that kill in that regard. Resume right now, they're trying to play a little bumper cars. The Antelope is very sturdy and stable, but that rally car has got a little bit of an inverted. You can see a little wheels hopping up and down, but have no fear. Vant's going to be able to get out of the vicinity with his life and try and play for a reposition now. As maybe he wants to engage, but he doesn't necessarily want to commit. So we'll see how that one develops. And meanwhile, here comes the Hawk in the skies. It's a very bold Vivant who was able to take down, yet again, I think this is second or third time he's killed Space. He's just got his number. Lotex has definitely been one of those marquee players of this series so far. But report, I wonder what he's got a brewing. He's probably just lurking, right?
I mean, this is, honestly, I mean, it may feel a little strange kind of looking at this lobby compared to the others, but we're getting in towards the end of Circle 2 here. The third's about to be in play. We still have 60% of our players remaining. This has been a slower tempo game when it comes to players looking for kills versus maybe trying to just play for positioning. Now, that's all going to come to a change. Look at the density of players that are up towards standoff that are going to have to rotate down. So the importance of a vehicle for a number of those players on the northeast side becomes extremely crucial. The same can be said down towards Pipeline, a difficult location to fight around because of how many close corners and kind of little hidey holes there are. But there is a large density of players that are still kind of outside the circle on that eastern third that are going to come into contact with one another pending they don't find vehicles.
Yeah, and vehicles are going to be a factor for now. Once this zone crashes in, we're going to get to see it. Are we going to be inside of the ocean moving into that last zone, or we're going to have to make the transition over to the islands that are southeast?
Oh,
no, it's going to be in the middle.
interesting.
This is going to be interesting. You're not going to be able to circle the vehicles as easily as we saw in games 1 and 2. So the rally cars, they're not going to get banned, ladies and gentlemen. No, they're just not going to be as effective. Maybe the motorcycles, but you're just going to be funneling into a line of death going onto that bridge with anything. Right now it's reporting. I mean, he's got so much going on. My ADD is kicking in, bro. There's left-right noise at brewing. There's nobody in the city. King Roth gonna try and get his... Oh, boy, this is it. One wrong move is all it takes. Oh, the shots there from Report. King Roth might be in trouble. He's gonna be eliminated. Report, you sneaky dog. Gonna be able to sneak in and take one life. And King Roth was a threat in games 1 and 2. No longer a threat here in game 3.
Yeah, so getting back to this circle, you saw it mostly encompasses the bottom side of docks and the majority of this bridge. I'm not going to lie to you. If you could put a car, when this circle closes off the backside of the isolated island, you could put a defender down and a vehicle down on the outside portion, like with your back up against the zone, on the far side of that bridge, and stay safe from all of the vehicle nonsense that we're going to get. This ending circle, if it continues to be closer and closer towards bridge, will likely be the least amount of vehicle warfare that we've seen so far, pending that circle kind of stays centered around that outside docks and that river and bridge area. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind. We'll see if anyone makes that assumption and makes that call to try to put themselves with their back to the circle out over towards the bridgeway, as Report is on a very nice little ledge looking down at Nader and says, this is a gunfight that I could absolutely win. Tries to jump down. Defender gets popped. Nader in a bit of trouble, but the smoke will conceal his movements as he's able to slip away, and Report says, I don't want to fight around all these vehicles. Let me get back towards safety.
Yeah, there you go. Get back to the top side of the hill. That's where you had the advantage. And surely enough, the vehicle, you did damage to it. So, you've nickel and dime and taxed it as much as you can. Nader's going to be able to retreat. And you've got 2 vehicles to choose from up top. And I think the motorcycle is the big brain play if you're looking at the zone crashing in. Danielle's going to be in sight, crashing in the shots. Supra, they're crispy. Looking absolutely beautiful with that M4 carbine. Man, I love the skin. That is a very unique one. The Banana Mac to go along with it has been very lethal. Has been the gun choice, the ideal one. Ideal choice here for Sokoruski. But here comes that interaction from Report as he is hopped down the hill looking for the warehouse action. Things getting a little too spicy for him to handle now as he's going to have to replay. But on the prowl is that player in Nader trying to nerf the demon. But baby, you can't nerf Report, bro. He is just going to put you as another notch on his belt and another casualty and the victim list that continues to grow. That's 2 already in this game, and there's still 34 players remaining.
Oh, Sabursky maybe in a little bit of trouble. Also, Supra on top of the high mountain, jumps right on in. Shot's not connecting initially, but Nev never really a chance to fire back. Kind of broke the camera, lost track of him. And Supra's able to find his 4th kill this lobby. Maybe a new contender towards that kill leaderboard starting to show up here. Has his eyes on Narc, Nagdy to his left, again in a vehicle. Supra is not in a great spot to try to finesse. It's going to feel like Frogger here, him trying to get across the street with as many cars that are passing. But one more look as the circle will close up. Where does it push to? It will actually be mostly on the bottom side of that docks area. So a lot of this bridge will not be in play, but there will still be a portion of it where players like Splash could possibly just kind of hang out and wait until the action starts to unfold in front of them to stay safe. Vivant, our winner from lobby number 2, still avoiding gunfights as he flies in to stay safe in the new circle.
Yeah, and something more importantly to keep in mind as well is as we get closer and closer to that in-game circle, the vehicles on that terrain are not going to be as easily accessible. You're not going to be able to do donuts in the parking lot because there's multiple warehouses Super is still hitting some very crispy shots. So here comes the engagement, though. It's the helicopter from up top. That is a vehicle that I would anticipate to have a little bit more of an advantage on the terrains like that. As you can see, it's a little bit of an overview right here. There's a lot of hills. There's a lot of devastation that we have. The buildings are primarily where you want to be at, but the top side of the hill can also be a key location too. So Bridge is being covered. Splash is trying to hold out for as long as he can. Citrus is trying to enjoy the sights and the view here of Isolated. Bomber taking a little bit of a dip. Everything is starting to unfold with 26 players. What happened to be a slower game now starting to develop here in the late. Starting to get a bit interested to see what kind of strategies we're going to see evolve after the vehicles not going to be necessarily as huge of a factor.
I mean, look at the minimap as Citrus is going across. It's just pockets of players all over the place. And Citrus is actually going to opt to possibly play bottom side bridge here. I was going to say this would be a really risky call to try to hang out on, because it really is just this staircase. Yeah, there's really not an area that you can really hang with. Bomber is swimming across at the moment just underneath. Not going to be scouted out by Citrus, who is still looking for maybe a spot to kind of hang out. But for the moment, I'm sure is relatively content just kind of floating above. Low-Tech's doing the same. Just 2 kills for him, by the way. Between him and Report both, our big kind of heavy kill leaders, they're kind of down to their normal tempo. And it's Super that I believe is actually kill leading this lobby at the moment. Maybe more to come as Jose's nearby, trying to find maybe an angle to pick a gunfight as there's gunshots all over the place. But Super will not catch an eye on him. And we'll stay with 24 players as this zone starts to get towards circle number 5.
Oh, Super, you got to interact. You got the top side of the hill. Real Trezea got to fire off a few shots. Eat some bullets from the Banana Mac. It's a healthy way to start your day out. Good freaking night. Super is just killing it right now with 5. As we're on board with Lag, who's trying to get a little bit of a regeneration. There's the rally car is still going to be fully intact. Low-Tech still got the top side of where the helicopter, but here comes one player. Might be a little bit of a in-the-air bumper cars. I don't know how that's going to work out. I mean, it could definitely chop up some. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not that great of a flyer, but hey, these pros, they do it something different, something vicious. So you start to see things starting to develop now as the zone crashing in. You see not as much presence as of vehicles as I anticipate, as roadblocks are definitely going to be a factor.
Raballo just below. Low-Techs will fall to Papa Radley as we take a look. This is the kill leaderboard after lobby number 2. Reporting Low-Techs definitely up there without question, but there maybe could be an opportunity for some of these players sitting on 8, 7, 4 kills to possibly step things up. How about this? A little grenade launcher play coming out of Citrus. It forces Tatilo out of his vehicle, but not able to capitalize on elimination. It's actually Anaria who's able to come back through to find that kill. So utilizing some third-party action there. Citrus moving up the mountain. This is actually where Low-Techs is positioned, and Citrus is committing to trying to get all the way up the back side of this. And he's found himself a motorcycle, but doesn't want it. He needs to stay healthy, only 42 HP. Needs to make sure he can get into this zone safely, not kind of self-eliminate himself. And as he jumps down, it's actually Low-Techs that's right on with him. But more vehicle explosions coming through. Citrus doing so much damage, that time by detonating a vehicle in front of Low-Techs. And that'll be good for his 4th elimination as he tries to self-sustain and heal up.
Yeah, there we go. It's interesting play. It's bold. Now he's got the War Machine. He's also got the KRM. He's looking to get all up in your face and wreak all kind of damage. Right now you see circling of vehicles. Mihawk, Nagdi, Ammo, Savage, Bomber. Everyone's kind of just freely rotated right now. And then up top you still got Kalu with the helicopter. I think that is the only one that's in the sky at the moment. Mihawk's going to bite the dust. But Dale going to be taking the life of Mihawk. So how many players we have left? It's 8. Look a little suspicious right here in this zone. The cars, again, not much, free roaming.
Well done.
And there it goes, the environmental, the detonation. This is exactly what I anticipated. You can't roam freely in those rally cars here when you've got little terrain to work with.
Oh, and Citrus is playing for the win, not even giving himself a chance to be seen, just hiding behind the chip terminal. And now he makes his move. That's his 5th elimination onto Bomber, just using these vehicles against his opponents. 5 total players remain. Smoke comes through. You've got Logic on his right. Does he know that he's down here? Oh, now he sure does, but Logic has the same bit of information. But now also making his move over towards the left. It's a fight outside of the circle. This is going to hurt pretty considerably. Citrus trying to get a heal as Badao, the only player that's inside the circle, but does not expect that there's going to be a player nearby. Out of the sky comes Clow, using the Metaclock to stay safe, and that will be how he wins. Just sustaining himself through the zone. Amo not able to do the same. And how about Cloud It? Takes lobby number 3 without even firing a bullet.
Well, I was about to say the no kill, no damage challenge accepted. Give me the medic, give me the helicopter, give me the $2,000, put it in my bank account ASAP. Big wins coming through, big brain strategies. You don't even need to be violent. You can just play big brain strats like that and it pans out. That's what I'm talking about. The adaptation is this game's develop and progress. We start to see some interesting strategies. It's not a pretty way to win, but a win is a win regardless shift.
I mean, that's not at all how I saw the ending of that coming through. You had everybody inside of cars and vehicles on the ground except for Cloud, and the War Machine was destroying everything. Between him and Badao, who were just taking shots at smoking vehicles, they found the benefit of the majority of those final circle kills just by way of eliminating the vehicles out of, well, plain sight. The problem was, it was the player up high that no one was looking at. Cloud just watching this unfold like a spectator watching over the evening traffic, and then just drops out, pops a medic, and that's all he needs to win the game. I don't think he ever fired a shot in any bit of that last circle, so the pacifist finds his way to $2,000, and we have got a variety of different win conditions that we've seen over the course of our 3 lobbies, just simply because of how that one just unfolded.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, you mentioned it in game number 1. After that one, we recapped it. We're like, we didn't see as many medics as we had anticipated. We're looking for diversity. We saw a lot of ninja skills. We saw, a few rewinds. We saw a few not trap masters. Nobody uses that. Defenders. But then the medic emerges in game number 2, victorious just as well in game number 3. Things starting to unfold. We're getting down to the wire. Last game coming up, but what a way to win. No, I mean, look, I've seen players do the challenges, stream. It's like, hey, I'm going to try and go no kill, no damage, right? Let's see if it pans out. But to do it in a $10,000 tournament, woo, baby, what a way to go.
Man, dude, I mean, this is what it's all about. You get into these solo drops. Literally anything can happen. You see Badao finishes himself off, the circle just kind of shrinking too soon, and Cloud just runs away.
Look how much health they had left, too. 65. Like, they weren't even sweating. They didn't need to.
That's unbelievable. That's so funny, man. I mean, if you were to have seen that from his perspective over the course of the final, 3 minutes, he wasn't even flying around in the circle. He was just hovering the entire way through, just watching cars explode below him. And then as soon as he has to get out of the helicopter because the zone damage, he just very, very gently gives it a nice, 2-point turn, throws it down, a nice clean landing, pop the medic, and just run yourself away from the final circle. That's too much, man. But that's the benefit of playing medic and being in a solo lobby where everyone else is getting blown up by Citrus's War Machine.
That's another great point. That was another adaptation that we didn't talk about. We talked about it during the game, but it took 3 before someone finally realized that, hey, maybe I can pull out a War Machine and just fire away and just get as many kills as possible. Well, that's exactly the mentality that Citrus took here in game number 3. Game number 4, who's going to be able to take the birds out now? Are you going to attach the FHJ? Is that something that you're willing to risk? I don't know. The pros definitely outweigh the cons when you see a no kill, no damage win come through. That is immaculate. But we're going to see how much of a factor that going into game 4, how big a helicopter can come in handy. And obviously it's different circumstances being on Blackout, but I love to see these little bit of details being found and crafted masterfully by these players and doing it with just such, a breeze. Cloud, congratulations.
It's funny because, I open up the whole tournament saying 1 is the loneliest number out there to some, but that's all it takes to win. You just have to be the lone survivor. The thing about it is there's more than one way to win these lobbies. So Savage, unfortunately, not able to survive through the damage of the zone. The same to happen to Badao, and Citrus, who came away, I think, as the lobby leader in total kills, only finished in 5th. And Cloud, who just floated above, watched it all occur, and was, in the end, the lone survivor of lobby number 3 on his way to $2,000. Haven't seen a lot from Eoc, but top 10 for him. Nagdi also found a number of eliminations in lobby number 3 in the top 8 overall. Wisey, who won our first lobby, has been in there as far as top 10 finishes, has kind of come through from lobby to lobby, but has not been able to find the same success that he provided in lobby number 1. There's also something important to note here, Verdict, is the fact that we didn't see a ton of kills from Low Tech, and we didn't see a ton of kills from Report. So could there possibly be a new influencer towards that overall kill leaderboard, which by the end, whoever has the most cumulative kills will also find themselves $2,000 richer.
Yeah, kills have been, the talk of town, but it's interesting what we're going to see in game number 4 and how that ties into it. Report and Lotex both not performing up to par. I mean, maybe we put them on a little bit of an ice pack after taking a small little break. Maybe they just took a minute to realize, hey, I'm up to grab $2,000 just on kills alone. Do I continue the strategy? And maybe that was a little bit of time that everybody else needed in the lobby to take a breath and just realize, hey, maybe they're doubting themselves. Maybe we can just move on. And
right.
With that being said, another fun fact is both first and second place in that last game had 0 kills. So, maybe just staying away from all the damage and the chaos and everything that, ensues with that, maybe disengaging is the best way to engage into game number 4.
Right, and I think even on top of that, hearing from production that 5 of our top 10 didn't have a single elimination. So, hey, like we mentioned, the event name is Lone Survivor. All you have to do is survive, and that was by far our biggest indication of it. I think that's the first time that we've seen something quite like that, where our final 2 players had 0 eliminations, didn't even shoot at each other at all in the final moments, and still one finds a way to become $2,000 richer. We've got one more lobby for you guys here for this COD Mobile Rivalry series. It's going to go back to Blackout. The first plane that we had was largely towards the west side, going due north to south. It kind of took away places like Asylum, places like Turbine. We're not even close to being playable. If that becomes an option again, there's a lot of loot that not only sits over there, but usually helicopter spawns are pretty generous on that side of the map. That was something that we saw kind of missing out from the first time we saw the Blackout map being played. So something definitely to keep our eyes on as we jump in and look at the first or the final lobby here with how this plane's going to kind of fly over the environment.
Yeah, something else, just a little key bit of information that is also useful as well. Report dropped in Hijack that has a helicopter, and he was uncontested. It's kind of like the platform, scenario. Like, do you drop there again? Do you risk it? Does anybody have any intel that leads to, hey, you know what? If he's uncontested, maybe I should go there and test the waters and see if I can, come out victorious of a beautiful yacht that's laying in the middle of the ocean that has potentially a helicopter in the pad. So, questions are going to be asked. We're going to see what kind of flight pattern kind of determines if that is going to be a very hot drop, or is Report going to go unscathed again and free to loot and run absolute terrors and turn into nightmares for some of these players, as he picked up 9 kills in Blackout.
Yeah.
Too.
That was the biggest thing that I was about to say was, the first lobby finding 7 kills was impressive, but to go from 7 up to 16 in total has already kind of separated himself and provided a huge cushion towards that overall kill leaderboard until we started to get to lobby number 3. So maybe there is something about this map that he just finds a bit of a fancy towards and can utilize it to his best ability to drop a little isolated, get that power spike, and turn it into a ton of eliminations. The only thing that really kind of you start to miss out on, and who knows how much it's living in his head right now, is I haven't seen a final circle really yet. Trying to be able to find a position to win has not really been available to either him or Lotex for that matter. So it'll be curious, I think, to see where we stand in the overall kill leaderboard. Super had a great game in lobby number 3. He may be all of a sudden a threat depending on how things look. But we'll see exactly how it all unfolds as we get ready to go. Again, one more drop, the final drop. We'll have $2,000 for the sole winner. And of course, by the end of it, a total kill leader will also earn the last $2,000, making up our $10,000 prize pool. Heck of a day so far, and we've gotten 3 very unique ways of how you can win into these individual drops.
Oh, how unique is game 4 going to be? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Anything goes here in this last one, except for the jumping class. God, I'm drawing a blank right now. You can't use that, but you get what I'm saying. Anything goes here. We've seen multiple ways to get kills. We've seen many and multiple ways to traverse the map. We've seen many in different ways of winning. The no kill, no damage challenge, it is definitely a factor right now. The factor is we're going from the top side all the way down to the southeast, where it goes down just east of that. We are going to see pretty much everywhere on the map available to drop. With this kind of pattern, I would be interested to see who gets a nuke down. Right now, all the action here is Lotex and, whoa, okay, well, never mind.
Wait.
Just pick up friends. Yeah, Cerberusky, he hops the helicopter as well, and Starbeast just going to go ahead and take him for the trip of his life.
I was going to say, there's a passenger on that flight. That's not part of the docket. We'll see if that flight plan changes mid-destination as far as how that's all going to go. Sun is able to get our ceremonious first blood very quickly. Had a great couple of first lobbies. A chance to see the final circle was Sun. A lot of vehicle mayhem for him, but has not been able to kind of get himself into those final fights, nor has he found a ton of eliminations to be a major threat on the kill leaderboard, as Lotex will have the majority of this raid location, this estates area, to kind of loot freely. I imagine he'll be very happy about that, even though he misses out on the chance at the helicopter.
Yep, there it goes. I mean, surely you've got a passion to go along with it. So everything has its pros and cons, right? You don't have anybody who's trying to backseat drive you or fly you around anywhere. And I'm interested to see how that interaction develops. Starbeast and Cerberusky just happily able to coast by, but Empathy is not coasting by, looking for some aggression. Narcs right here in the vicinity. As we take a look at the kill leaderboard here momentarily as well, Narcs right here is going to be interacted. It's the Shoddy. No, that's a Krig, baby. That's right. Krig 6 in COD Mobile has not looked good since Black Ops Cold War. But Report still leading the lobby with 19. Lotex not too far behind with 12. But Jose, where did you come from, my friend? 12 kills in 3 games? Pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's been sneaking around, man. I'll be honest with you. We've seen him a couple of different times kind of in good positions, and it has led to a handful of kills. Sun looks like he may be on the hunt again. Does he know that Jose is nearby? Hard to say. But there would be potential contest between the two. Obviously, this high-rise and construction area it's very difficult to hunt players out in. But Sun just kind of making sure he's being very diligent about making sure those corners are cleared before he starts to move through. And it looks like for the moment, they will kind of avoid one another. Splinter in the plane, the jet right overhead. Also not going to be a threat even though he's in the vicinity. So Sun will be happy to kind of loot the majority of these high towers and be on his way.
All right, well, here we go. Construction site. Not very populated. You did the kill. Manly Sanho. I thought we said Sanho wasn't here. Is this an alias? Is this someone who is fanboying? Or is it the actual Sanho?
I didn't even...
I'd be interested.
Hard to say.
I had to look at it. I was like, is Sanho here? I saw Bobby in chat making names, but it's all about Raider right now. He's got a plethora of skins available right now. It's eyesights and sets on Legend, who from GSK, as well as YZ, who won game number 1. So Legend trying to make true to the GSK name. Hopefully we'll see this interaction progress, and Raider is just going to be content holding the top side, but he's got plenty of action on the outskirts too. There goes that jet just cruising by as well. So not really been a factor here in solos, but Lotex has, and he's on the prowl. Mihawk right here in the vicinity of Raid. This one might get spicy.
We haven't really seen much out of Mihawk either, but you did see in that last lobby, he was in the top 10 overall finishing placements. So definitely finding a way to get into the mix and have a chance. But once more, as we've seen pretty largely through a lot of these early situations, you've got a couple of players that I feel like are kind of sending it a little bit harder here in this last lobby. But, I mean, Lobby 3 was very slow compared to the tempo of the first 2. A lot of players trying to avoid gunfights, trying to get to that final circle, and it led to, like we mentioned, 5 of our 10 players in the top 10 not even finding a single elimination. Report in trouble here. This could be massive if Big finds a way to dismount him off of the motorcycle, but the head-on collision will amount to nothing, and Report will keep his life.
Yeah, as long as you keep trucking on that motorcycle, it is very hard to take it down. Deanna, oh, this is a tough one for you. My Rivertown buddy, go ahead and heal up as fastly as you can. Get out of the vicinity. Report won't be denied. The shots coming through. The PPSH never stood a chance. Unfortunate for Deanna, my girl. You're a great host. You're a great caster. It's just unfortunate you had to interact there with Report, and with Report being as lethal as he's been. Very, very tough way to go. Lotex now out. Won't be contending as Sun, who we haven't said a lot of here in this 4-game spread, starting to turn the Jets on. I think he's got 3 on board so far. So we'll kind of keep him in progress as maybe he's trying to close the gap. I don't know how close he is in getting kills, but hey, if you're here to grief, go ahead and grief away. Lotex, so long, adios. Your gap that you needed to bridge, not necessarily going to be covered here in this 4th game.
And that all of a sudden, I think, if you see that in the kill feed and your name is Report, your whole game changes right now. Because there's now only one other player that has a chance at making up the gap in total kills. You can pretty much sign away and guarantee yourself 2K if you just play smart, because the opportunity for 7 total kills to come through, it would be difficult. Actually, the cushion's now 8 with that elimination coming out of Report. So he looks good to be the possible final kill leader. Sun kind of in and out of the passenger seat. Sono, no idea how to handle this, has now kind of alleviated himself from the driver's position. Shot's not quite hitting, and Sun will find another elimination. There was another member nearby, but it looks like that fight will be a one-way direction, as there will not be a third-party situation coming through to try to find that elimination.
Son, you're so cheeky, man. How are you just going to jump in man's vehicle and expect him not to retaliate? Well, he did, and my God, you probably should have pulled the kilo out. As manly of a shots as they were, they just not fare well. Farewell to Cloud Turnsies. Man, that one escalated pretty quickly. Everyone's got a little bit of road rage. They want to get out and hop out and speak their mind. Well, the gunny is hot for Sun. He's got 4 on board. I don't think anybody in this lobby... Oh, is that Report? Oh, baby. You think that him having the intel of knowing that Lotex is out would have put him in a position to play for the end game and possibly put more money in his pocket? I think he wants to engage. I love it. A killer mentality. See if he can take down Sun here.
Here we go. Off the high ropes, though. Report not getting the cleanest of shots. The defender comes through. This is a massive 1v1, and Report takes down Sun, who is trying to establish himself as a Game 4 threat to possibly tallying up enough kills to get into the overall kill leaderboard. That is now shut down, and Report gains an extra bit of cushion here towards that free 2K, essentially, for him in this 4th lobby, towards being our top kill leader.
I see what you're doing, Report. I love the strategies. Go ahead and deal with the threats early on. Don't wait for them to develop and not be able to deal the damage at the end. I mean, one less player you got to worry about. One more to worry about here is the Tio. I've seen some pretty big shots out of Mans in multiplayer. This time around, he's in a demon of a situation, and Report is just going to continue to feast and rack up the kills and deal with as many and neutralize as many of those threats that could interfere with him getting another $2,000 potentially in a first place finish here in game number 4.
There is so much confidence to Report in that engagement. He seat swaps to the back seat to start taking shots at Tatio, and that's actually enough damage to force him out of the vehicle. That was disgusting. More kills coming through in the kill feed. Legend down and out. Squeeze clips. Not able to get much going in this tournament outside of that little sniper swap that we saw from lobby number 1, that little steal away kill. So he will finish. And now 39 total players remain. And I think if you're a fan of Report right now, you're sitting there saying, dude, try to get yourself a 4K game right now. You've pretty much got the overall kill leaderboard in your name. Try to get a 4th lobby win and make it a $4,000 day for yourself.
I don't know if Mans is programmed that way. I think he wants to engage. He's hardwired to be aggressive as all get out, and it's shown here. The confidence exerted. It made me feel a little bit more confident about myself. I love to see it. The motorcycle is his vehicle of choice for now, but he's going to hop to the rally cart. It's kind of gravitating and not gravitating. There it goes. He's going to be able to ditch the motorcycle and get something a little bit more durable for some of these interactions. He's still rocking the Defender class, and right now he's just looking for his next victim, another notch on the belt for him. Who is it going to be? Is it Rito, who seemingly might have taken a little bit of a turn towards him? Bomber is on... it looks like he's trying to just get the heck out of the vicinity of where whoever is behind him is kind of giving him a little love tap from behind. That Christmas Hoopty is by far the best vehicle skin, minus the Beetle, which I love that is electric blue, but Resume, I think you kind of missed them, homie.
The Bomber just hits the brakes and says he's just going to fly right by. Mihawk also kind of flirting around, possibly considering an engagement, but everyone gets back in their respective vehicles and drives away. Bomber's just way out here. I mean, he's just hanging, as nothing's really going to come of that little 3-way of vehicle action that's going on in this area. Over to King Roth. Single kill for him here in lobby number 4. He's put together some pretty solid games too, all things considering, if we have a chance to swap over to him. Logic is in this next village of buildings, although he looks like he is trying to move further north. So they're actually, no, wait, no, they actually are coming kind of closer towards one another. Airdrop is also on the way in. And, there's a third player in a vehicle also coming into this same area. Yeah, this is possibly a three-way situation. Shots actually did come through from Logic right there, so now all of a sudden Rafa's going to know that there is going to be an imminent fight. A fourth party also on the way in as Rafa's able to utilize his kind of secretive position for an easy third party. Another elimination tallied up as that's his second.
Oh, we got some big heavy hitters coming through. Vivant circling around. He's waiting for the right time to make his name into the scenario. Splinter kind of lurking in the building a little closer towards zone. King Roth's going to be able to deal some shots in and get his first on the board, or his second on the board of this game. But he has dealt plenty of damage across this 4-game spread, trying to close the gap that report created. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if that's necessarily doable in this sense. There are 36 players outside of him, so the numbers are there, but let's be real. Blackout could be a bit of a blender if you make these rotations late, and with the zone crashing in, he's just going to kind of like wondrously graze right outside of the circle. Maybe try and play for a little bit of loot. Maybe try and play for a little less damage to, hey, maybe they'll forget about me, right? Maybe I can just coolly and calmly make my way back into the zone. Super trying to fire off some FHJs. I've said it. You know, what better way to counter a vehicle or an aircraft in the vicinity than to do it with the FHJ? But it's a huge sacrifice. It's losing out on the secondary too. So we'll keep an eye on if he can maintain the rally cars to a bare minimum as his zone started to crash in for the third one.
There's a couple of areas that I'm kind of keeping my attention on. The first is the due north part of this circle. There looked like to be a couple of players on foot and a number of other players that were kind of rotating in. The other was just to the southwest of Array. There were a number of players kind of on their way up and are going to naturally meet in that area that can be difficult to kind of maneuver vehicles inside of. Around, sure, but inside, it can be a little bit treacherous to try to get inside that fence line and then get right back out. More vehicle action happening just on the northeast side of Array as Report is honking away at everyone around him, and it looks like for the most part a lot of those players that I just mentioned in that kind of second POI area in the southwest of Array are largely going to be fine. 35 total left as our third zone is about to come to a close here in the next 60 seconds. And it looks like Nader's just trying to entice someone to take shots at him as games of chicken continue to occur right here outside of Array.
Yeah, well, who's going to remain victorious? I think right now you got to avoid, any kind of bumper-to-bumper action. The vehicles take a little bit of damage there. You're trying to look for something sustainable in the in-game where zone crashed in might be a viable option for vehicles this time around. We saw, the chaos and the just absolutely sheer disgusting sight of vehicles donutting all around that end zone. Well, Splinter is going to be able to display some pretty cheeky shots there. Splash is going to bite the dust. Bomber still circling the vicinity as well. King Rafa trying to play a little bit of a gatekeeper. Report back on the prowl. Has never looked better. 3 kills to his name so far in this game alone. He's got a plenty full of deaths that he has accumulated, or kills that he's accumulated. The deaths of many big-name players throughout this 4-game spread. And right now, I think he's playing it smart. Keep this vehicle intact. Keep it for a rainy day. As I don't think it rains here in Blackout, but at some point, your vehicle is going to need to be a lot more healthy than the rest.
So we wait for the next bit of action to unfold, and it very well could come as this fourth zone is about to be in play. A couple of players, you actually see them there in the minimap, are right next to one another in that main area of Array, as this next part of the circle looks to mostly be centered in the major POI, kind of in the middle of the map. But what else comes in? You saw construction was going to be zoned out. That little 8-pack of houses just to the northwest, if you're also going to be out after this zone comes to a close. So all these little hilltops that you're starting to see could be very key locations, as Report is able to find Helmania just outside to kind of vacate his vehicle. Not sure if the damage was significant or if it was just kind of, I caught him, cool, no worries. Smoke it out, blew it up, back into the car, and next, who wants to show themselves?
Yeah, Gil, man, you exit game number 4. Happy birthday to you, man. Absolutely love it. You're so gorgeous, dude. Everything you do, everything about you is just confidence. But the shots there, when you've got Report who has been on a burner, a heater, it's not even it's been just a blazing path of fear that he's left these lobbies in. And he's just going to add another one to the repertoire. It's 4 on board for Report. As confident as all get out. Plenty of action on the outskirts of his own. Well, look at Cloud.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys forget about me? I did it in game 3. The no kill, no damage challenge here accepted for game number 4 too. What's going on?
Dude, he's gonna do it again. He's just gonna float up there. I'm so glad that you saw that too, Vernon. He was on the southeast side, just in a helicopter.
Yeah, he was way out there too. He was way out there.
If he wins 2 lobbies in a row without dropping a single kill, I don't even know. Like that's just a little different. Vivant floating in, trying to find some damage to all these vehicles. He's able to tag out a couple, but largely everyone kind of runs away unscathed. Nera just down to his lower part of it, then Vivant will swap out for a more healthy vehicle. Okay, so down to 30
I think he
players.
was tagging along. He was tagging along with Roth. Roth was driving.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
the ways that you can win in this game.
I know, right? It's a mechanic that these players are just all too used to. You vehicle swap, you jump into another. Hey, let's be buddies for a second, or I'll kill you if you hop out. Either way, let me take you hostage. Bolo are going to try and spray and pray the death machine as well. And as many times as we've seen shots come through from Antelopes, we haven't yet to see one be victorious in the death machine portion of it. So interesting strats. I think you just keep it trucking as the vehicle health is the primary concern. You can see Report is just trying to get away from everybody, not try to interfere. He wants to win 2 times the kills and this game 4 victory. He's going to be able to get some damage in on Drari. Unfortunate, homie, you put up a heck of a run so far, just not today for this VR event.
He might lose out on his vehicle, though, if he's not careful. Okay, he's going to be able to get in. Bomber was just on the outside. I was supposed to say there might be a forced 1v1 here, but both players will find vehicles, get right back in, and be largely fine. 28 players remain. Zone closing into circle number 5. Space able to find a snipe onto JHC. Haven't really heard much from the NYSLM guys today outside of them being on the wrong side of the kill feed. And you can see on the minimap, look how many vehicles are still up and in. I would be willing to wager that 90% of the lobby is driving some sort of motor vehicle right here. But as we get this circle tighter and tighter, again, this top hillside is going to be coveted land to try to work with. You see just for a second, Cloud is still inside the helicopter just outside the zone by the look of it. So he's still floating above what is largely just ground transportation.
Interested to see if anybody's able to shoot him down. I guess everybody right now, it's bumper cars. Everyone is just going 90-0. Everybody's putting it in sport mode. Resume is going to be able to get a collision onto Nader. He gets a 2-piece with that. I guess the vehicle health was deteriorating. He just needed one little bump over into the right direction. He's going to be able to get the collateral with 2. I just don't know how else you get 2 kills without detonating one and the other exploding as well. So Rafa is going to be able to hop out of his, and I think the vehicle's lives are just coming to an end. And look at it. I mean, just there's so many names just circling around the map. I don't even know what's going on. Splinter says he does. Real Trezan's going to be taking some shots in, as well as Eris going to get dropped by Splinter. Rafa's going to be able to, on foot try to pursue some more kills as well, as he's looking potentially for an in-game situation as well, as he's not trying to engage while also not trying to get ran over at the same time.
Yeah, it's a tough decision to make because you want to start dealing damage at the vehicles, but you don't want to be too exposed to where someone else is going to run up behind you. Tarzan falls, Big finding a kill, but Roth is able to find the last bullets needed to take down Splinter. Mihawk also, unfortunately, not able to extend his life much further out. So now we have to move out of array and up towards the top of this hillside. And Roth is in a little bit of trouble here. There are cars all over. I'm just going to throw smoke to try to keep himself concealed. Big takes down his second elimination and third back-to-back by way of grenades. So Big's dealing some significant damage to a lot of the vehicles that are nearby. And yeah, look at the side of this hilltop. Everyone wants to be on the high ground as much as humanly possible, but the vehicles are still a major problem as Resume learns the hard way. And as Report still finds himself kind of colliding with players, his car's starting to smoke. So he's going to be a little bit careful here if he wants to try to find a way to not just be our kill winner, but also take down this 4th lobby as the victor as well.
Yeah, keep all that in mind. Everything, all this chaos, all this craziness, just like we saw in Game 3. And guess who's still the bird in the sky? Cloud is still up there, I believe.
No one's even looked at him.
Nobody's even considered the helicopter. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembered from game number 3, but that happened. And it might happen again unless someone can deal with that helicopter early on. Right now, it's all the focus of the rally cars. They're bumping, grinding. Everything is just happening all too quickly. But you see the fence line kind of covering up, and King Rafa is just taking advantage of some free time to be alive. 12 players remaining. Zone is starting to shrink. Right now, if you don't have a vehicle, you are certainly in a bit of a pickle. Report going to be able to get the explosion of Mysterio. Nothing mysterious about that. Look at it. Cloud still up top, hanging high. Nobody able to deal with that. I don't know how much health the vehicle has, but we're going to have to keep an eye on it as this game progresses.
Roth's stuck. He's
so
stuck.
crazy.
He needs to get over the fence line. This is the final moments. Little Bead nearby. No HP. There's no circle here to play with. Rob's going to fall. It's Report with a double. It's going to be him versus Cloud. But once again, Cloud doesn't have to even fire his weapon. Report, you thought maybe could turn his kill leadership into a 4th lobby win. But once again, nobody looks up. And Cloud will win 2 of our 4 lobbies by way of hovering. Huh?
Bro, I don't even know what to say, man. It's like, did nobody remember what happened in Game 3? What I will say is Cloud did manage to pick up a kill. I'm not sure if it was by vehicle or if it was by, you know, getting the helicopter. Remember the transition from the outskirts of the zone into the circle? They were so far out. The damage of the zone wasn't that astronomical then, but how does one let a helicopter just freely float up in the sky, not causing anybody harm? And that was possibly the easiest $4,000 hit I have ever seen in Battle Royale. And the lone survivor, twice in a row, I mentioned it. Who's going to be able to do it back? I mean, not even back to back, but who's going to be able to do it 2 times? They did it back to back.
Look, we need to have a discussion. Cloud has just set a very dangerous precedence for all of the future Battle Royale lobbies in the next week. Everyone's just going to take helicopters and float, earn themselves up and stack themselves up some Battle Royale wins, whether it's on Isolated or Blackout. Doesn't seem to make a difference. Cloud's found a way to finesse. When everyone's playing off the ground transportation, you'll take it to the skies, man. Unbelievable. I don't have words, but you know what, Cloud? Good for you. You found a way to be the lone survivor. That's the whole name of it. When kills don't make a difference, except for literally one of the 5 different ways you can win $2,000, throw it out the window. Play the pacifist. Let all the other craziness ensue below you and become $4,000 richer. That's too funny, man. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, $4,000. You're just lingering in the sky. Everyone else is just trying to get as many kills. They're trying to run people over. They're trying to explode other vehicles. You're just the butterfly, you know, the monarch just swooping by, you know. Nobody even paid attention to it. The hit of a lifetime. Everyone in the lobby outside of Cloud should be ashamed of yourselves. Why? Because you couldn't deal with the helicopter. But I gotta say, Cloud was a very, very great approach. I'm just still in shock. I would love to have seen how far they came to get there just to hover, and nobody, you know, was able to deal with them. So what a way to win 4. What a way to end our day. And man, Blackout just is isolated as isolated was. It came down to that last little bit of time, and it was like a repeat performance. So we just rewind everything, went back to Isolated, and just showcased it there. No, that really did happen. I'm still in disbelief.
The funny thing about that, funny or sad, depending on who you're a fan of, Report put together 9 kills when he didn't have to put together any to possibly still just lock in his free $2,000, but 9 total kills and almost a chance at a 4th game victory to, instead of being Cloud winning $4,000, it would have been Report. But hey, you finesse what the rules give you to finesse, and back-to-back wins for lobby number 3 and lobby number 4. That's absolutely hysterical.
That is. What's the old saying? Brains over bronze? Is that a thing? Is that a saying? It should be.
Yeah.
100%. IQ can win you games. You don't have to be great, you know, with the kilo. You don't have to be great with the meta. You don't even have to use the meta. The meta is float above the sky, be the lone survivor. The strategy panned out perfectly for a big 4,000 hit, and I don't think we've ever witnessed a heist like that on camera. And we got first-hand view of it 2 times in a row. So kudos to Cloud, man. We're just going to continue to run through it as we're going to take a look at that placement right there. Cloud coming through with the absolute banger of a performance. That's not game number 3, but it was the same exact instance from game 3 to game 4. Blackout, the same exact results for Cloud. And Report, man, that is so unfortunate, man. 2nd place. But hey, at least you get 2,000 for the performance that you put on. We enjoyed it.
Hey, love it or hate it, there's ways to counter it. Just no one looked up. I mean, all the players that were on foot, They're so worried about everything else that's going on around them because it's literally cars swarming you. No, I mean, I'm telling you, all the POVs that we got near the end, there wasn't a single player who even looked up at the helicopter. I don't even think anyone knew he was there until it was like, wait a second, I can't find this last 1v1. And then I die, and you see on the end screen, Cloud wins, and you go, wait a second, how does this happen twice in a row? No one even looked at him over the top of him. And, you know, hey, it's one of those situations where, like you mentioned, brains over brawn. He's playing chess, everyone else is playing checkers. Whatever you want to call, whatever anecdote you want to use, it worked out for 2 back-to-back wins, and you have to applaud it.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me second time. Look, I'm just gonna rage quit at that point. Overall, it's been a great day of the Lone Survivor series. The COD Mobile Rivalry series has been just an absolute epic event. We've done it in multiplayer. We've done it in zombies. Got to take to the skies for games 3 and 4 for some victorious Battle Royale action and shift. Man, what a way to end it. 2 games in a row. Cloud breaking the mold, doing the impossible 2 times in a row. This time around, they did manage to pick up that 1 kill. But Report, we all know that you were slaying out, homie. How many kills did he end up with? Do we have tallies? I mean, it's not a surprise. Everybody knows. The elephant in the room is Report slayed all games long.
I mean, really, it was just the 3rd game that felt a little bit slow, and I think it was a lot of because everyone was trying to play for placement in that 3rd map, that Isolated. And so, yeah, the tally was a little bit lower than quote-unquote average, but you have to think he pulled probably 7 kills at least per lobby, which was heads and shoulders over everybody else. Lotex gave him a run there for the first 2 lobbies, but not finding a ton in the 3rd, and then obviously falling out early in the 4th, really kind of relinquished any competition towards that overall kill leaderboard. So big shout outs. We had Wisey, who won game number 1, Vivant, who was able to only get the last kill needed to win lobby number 2, and then 1 kill total in 2 total wins for Cloud to wins game 3 and 4. And here is our final tally for the kill leaderboard. The last $2,000, it's going to go to Report at 28 total eliminations. Lotex and Jose just below him, tied at 12. King Roth had a great 4th lobby. We saw a lot of him there at the end, only able to put together 11. And then B-Nate, Splinter, Logic, Cerberus, Citrus, and Radley behind him, all kind of tallying between 9 and 6 total eliminations. But Report, by and far, the most deadly player lobby to lobby here in the Rivalry series.
That's 7 kills per game on average. That is just ridiculous. That's almost unthinkable. That's almost undoable. Well, as far as undoable, we've seen it twice in a row, and we'll continue to talk about it. Final standings here. Wisey coming through with a fat 2K paycheck. Vivant coming through with a fat $2,000 paycheck for match number 2. Kills MVP is going to be Report, but the talk of town, talk of the hour, will continue to scratch and figure out how does that, it's so simple. Why does it work so effectively? Cloud, where did you come up from the strategies? Where do you come up from the thought process to put together something as brilliant as that? You had to have some kind of big brains to put together the medic, plus the helicopter, plus in-game, plus no one's going to be looking at you, right? I mean, why would they look at you? There's bumper cars all around. They worry about way too much on the outskirts, so kudos to them.
Dude, this is so funny because I made the outlandish statement at the beginning of this broadcast that you could possibly win $8,000 by only finding 4 total kills. All that matters is the last one. You may have been able to win $8,000 not firing a single bullet, Cloud started to prove. So, heck of a tournament from start to finish. Want to give one last final major shout out to all of the players that came across 3 different regions to participate in this one. It is just so cool to see the variety of personalities, professionals, creators alike all come together for the Rivalry series. Solos is a very different style of Battle Royale, and we got a full-fledged forced look at that over the course of all 4 of our lobbies. So major shout-outs to everyone for coming out and participating and showing us the different ways you can go out there and play VR yourself, whether it be Isolated or Blackout. Verdict, final words to me before we say farewell to the Rivalry series.
Learn how to fly a helicopter. It's not always about how hot your gunny is. You got money on your mind, what's the best way to do it? Use your brain. That's all you need to do. Brute force take it, but ultimately, the victorious didn't even have to fire that many shots. So it's not always about winning your gunfights. It's about outsmarting your opponent, and that's what we learned today in this COD Mobile Rivalry series, Lone Survivor series. So, Shift, it was a pleasure. We've got to do this twice in a row. We got the first ever Zombies event. That was amazing. This one was definitely up there as far as, what wowed and off the wall kind of ideas we'll see. I'm looking forward to some more action here from the COD Mobile Rivalry series as well as you.
Myself as well. Lots of fun was had. I hope you guys all out there enjoyed it. Have a wonderful weekend. Until the next Rivalry series, we hope you out there keep pulling it down. So long, farewell, bye-bye.